Um, okay. So did you turn it upside down and around and do things like this?
That was the way it started. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Well, then I'm on to something here.
Yeah.
It has a lot of potential. If you look at the format of everything here,
Press start.
I think it would have been nice if it had continued on to take away importance of this, where it is central within the format.
Right.
You see.
Yep.
You know, God, I love drawing on your artwork. I can't do this in class, you know.
Yeah. Well,
But,
I was trying to be non-thoughtful, so when my brain stopped, I stopped.
So so too bad it ended.
Yeah. Well, you'll see. I finished it off.
Okay. All right. So let's bring it down here. Let's see. Where is it? Do you see it in this grouping here anywhere?
Nope. No.
Okay. Would you do me a favor on your break? Go ahead and resend it to me.
Okay. It was part of 4 different pictures, and I only see 2 there. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So you please resend it, and we'll bring it back up.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
Okay. Is Julie here? Julie Bryson?
Yeah,
Hi.
I'm there.
Hi.
Hi. Good morning.
Hi.
I see those in the night. I sent you some persimmons earlier with an arabesque frame. Did you see that?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Something happened when I was like downloading them from my
Okay.
computer to this, but I did. I saw the arabesque frame. That was very decorative. It's almost too much, too much. But I like your still life. I think you guys are getting it. Those of you who did still lifes really, you're paying attention. So it's very nice. It's rewarding for me to look and get a great feel for your progression as artist and developing your artist's eye. So this was, you did 2 studies like this. You did this one here, and then this one here. I like this. This is very interesting. Beautiful pattern work, nice design, nice compositional elements here. I love the way the bananas naturally move the eye in a direction that's see, maybe I can bring it up in white here. They kind of move the eye in this direction and around like this, and you stay. It's almost a circular composition.
Yeah, I think so.
So that gives me an idea for future still lifes is using them to move the eye as a directive device. And then you looked at the pattern work on the tablecloth. So you've got pattern work, you've got flat areas, you've got patterned areas. It almost looks like you, did you look at any Voyard paintings? Thank you, Alice. Did you look at any Voyard paintings or still life?
I looked at Matisse.
Matisse, okay, good. All right, the only thing I would say that might help this one along is in the background here. If you, let's see if I can pull this off a little bit here. If you were to eliminate some of the patterns in the background or subdue them a little bit, because there's so many spotty patterns in the background.
Yeah.
That they're all kind of like demanding attention. They look kind of random as well. I don't see them contributing to a more of a harmonious composition, just because they're all the same kind of chicken scratch notes, or staccato, not chicken scratch, staccato. There's nothing wrong with staccato, but you'll see, like if you want your viewer's eye to go somewhere special, you don't need a bunch of extra marks that are going to direct the viewer or be in competition with where you want the viewer's eye to go. So I'm just kind of loosening it up. I'm just kind of like knocking it back just a little bit there as an alternative. Okay.
Thomas, are you saying that you would mute the color, or were you saying that you would get rid of some of the color?
Well, the color, I just the notes. You just have a black on tan. So I just toned them down. I just tried to eliminate them. Okay. Not too much of any one thing is a kind of a good philosophy to have in the back of your mind. It was kind of relevant in the arts and crafts period between the 19th and the 20th century, when they started to simplify designs after the Art Nouveau kind of, got a little complex. They started to go in the opposite direction. And so keep that in the back of your mind. Not too much of any.
So do you think, would you have not put, would you have, say there's nothing there, would you have just left it?
No.
What would you have done, you think?
I think you could have gotten away with some patterns, just not so many.
Okay.
Okay. Be strategic with things. I mean, you also want to be spontaneous, but also be strategic. You got to be the painter and not the painter. You've got to put it on with discretion and also with the discriminating eye. You got to know when you said too much. And sometimes you got to be willing to ruin something in order to learn what not to do next time. So,
yeah.
Okay.
You know what was interesting?
Right.
I used, on the one before, I used a calligraphy pen, and it wasn't really tracing, like the ink wasn't consistent. And so the bananas, like you could see, I got that staggered pattern of the banana outline.
Yeah.
And then on the next one, I was using an ink brush, and it was very, very inky, and just so much was coming out.
Yeah.
But I think I preferred the calligraphy marks, is what I learned from this.
Yeah.
That's not so much information I preferred.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you're learning about different mediums.
Calligraphy gives you thick thin, which is an attractive kind of mark.
Okay. What I'm doing right now, I'm looking for things that are monotonous. And in this case, all those dark marks up in the top right corner were pretty monotonous because they were all the same notes.
Those were when I felt like I ruined it, because I did that windowsill and it bled. And so I think the black I think that black line across the back ruined it.
Well, okay. Well, you can always paint over it. You can always paint over it. Okay. The whole thing about learning to become an artist is learning how to fix things.
I think so.
Okay. All right. Hey, Valley? Valley? Are you here? Okay, she's not here yet. All right.
No, I'm here.
Oh, you are? Okay. Hi.
Hi.
This is fun. This was kind of random notes, yeah?
Yes. It was one automatic drawing, and then yeah.
This is great. I think you did well. It's really fun. And I like how it came out. I like your choices. And the color the paper that you put it on really is a nice harmonizing toned paper. And what medium is this?
Acrylic.
Okay. So your color palette is nice and harmonious. And I think it works. It works.
It was fun to do, and then you get carried away. So I don't know.
So what part did you think you got carried away with? I'm going to ask you that.
Probably in specificity, like some of the lines and everything. I was maybe, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you could, if you have a nice steady line or a nice steady eye, don't be afraid to go up and wait. I gotta narrow my focus here. To go up and simplify something. Give yourself a cleaner line.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A cleaner line might be a little more of a skillful approach. You don't have to, but it's one alternative, so it doesn't look like you were struggling.
Yes, and I believe you're right. And if I were to do it again, I think I just grabbed the wrong brush and I was already in there and
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, just doing what I just did.
Much
Uh,
better.
yeah. Yes. So don't be afraid to refine things and define things.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I want you to be able to be random and expressive with stuff, but you know, it's okay to become slick, and you're going to see some skill levels in this class today of a contemporary artist who is really, really slick. I mean, that guy could draw like nobody's business, and
Oh, great.
so it's okay to really try to refine things. Now, the scariness about this is this man that I'm going to show you some of the graphic design work of is he doesn't wear glasses when he draws, and I find it impossible. I have no idea how he can do it and not lose his eyesight. So
Oh, wow.
anyway, I'm not saying you've got to be that way, but it is a possibility. Like it's okay to have a really sharp line on occasion.
I appreciate that because I almost didn't send it because of that.
Oh,
So
really? Oh,
yeah.
I'm so glad you did. I'm so glad you did because it looked like something I would do.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. No, I really like the whole design concept here. Hey, Wendy, are you here?
Yes.
Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
You sent in a few things. So um, this was kind of a random thing, or was this more, you started with
This
that
was,
mark?
this is where you put the mark and then you
Yeah.
build around it.
Yes, okay. And that mark, if I recall, I think I do have it. I think I did download it. Is it right here? Yeah. Was this it?
Oh, no, I didn't send you the mark,
Oh,
but
you
I'll show
did.
you in the painting where,
Okay.
It's that black circular,
Okay.
the heavier black line around the blue.
Got it. So this is interesting. This is interdimensional. It's
Yeah.
interdimensional. And it looks like you left the is this the color of the paper you've just left?
No,
You've actually painted over
the
that.
paper was pretty white.
Okay.
It doesn't show there, but it was pretty white. That was like a really pale pink flesh color.
Yeah. I see your armature. Thank you very much. I do like the way the blue is coming out into the neighborhoods here.
Yeah, thank you.
Leaking out. Yeah, it's a great idea. Looks like fun. Looks like you stretched yourself. Now there's a couple of things you can do to alter dementia. Let's see here. Let's see if this will help. Wait, I need a little darker rendition here. Okay, so you've got this shape here in the middle. You could possibly go back in with a darker tone. You're going to see this starting to get a little darker. Wait, maybe.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay, I'm going to make it a little bit darker in here, which is going to add some depth, little quality of depth to that shape a little bit. Okay, make it pop forward a little bit, like it's a cast shadow almost. That's creating some dimension here.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, so now all of a sudden you've got that coming toward us. Any one of these shapes can have something like that happen in here. Even the purple. Watch this. I'll do this, and then that'll be it. Even the purple. Let's do this. Let's try this on for size. I'm going to go into here, and I'm just going to fool with making this a little bit darker.
Yeah.
Next to that blue, which again is going to create the optical illusion that something might be receding underneath something else. And so
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
In other words, don't stop there.
Right.
Always see if you can try to, create some form of planes. Okay, making planes come in and out, and I mean, I could work on this for an hour and just make some really cool adjustments. So it's multi-dimensional. Just
Yeah, I'll play with it.
play with it
Yeah,
some more. Okay,
I like
don't be
that.
afraid to ruin it because there's more
I
where that
will.
came from. All right. Okay. Let's see. We've got 2 still lifes here. Whose is this?
That's Windy too.
Okay, Wendy. Nice.
That's the arabesque.
Great. Look at that. That's beautiful. Look at how it all sits on the page. I like the decision making. Now this is just in pencil. You just did a value rendering.
Yes.
Now from here you could actually do a painting.
Right.
Okay. Now one thing I would just say about it, I mean, you've got beautiful depth here. You've got a really nice understanding of light on the form. You're starting to compare your values of what's in light and what's in shadow, and you're giving us some nice Cezanne-like distortion of perspective. Okay, so that's working out nicely. Be careful of things getting too, let's go back up into this neighborhood here. Things getting too light or too dark, like where this vase is right here. You see how light it is on or how light that stripe is right here. Okay, but as it recedes behind that vase, it gets darker. So it kind of creates an ambiguity of something happening. So I'm just going to lighten it up just a little bit here. Just going to take a little bit of lighter tone, and I'm going to just apply it to that stripe up behind the vase itself.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's going to give a little more depth. It's going to flatten the plane out just a little bit right there. And that's not that I want you to paint realistically, but I just want you to pay attention to the possibility of creating that depth sometimes on the, on the table.
Yeah.
All right. So, and then even with the one on the top side over here too, watch out for that point. I'm going to lighten it up a little bit here because it's further away from us than we need to be. So.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. So
yeah.
Now you can see now that all of a sudden the edge of that vase, moves towards us.
Yes.
Okay. And that can work, and that, may not work too, because if you make that edge too dark, it's going to flatten out that plane too. So remember, you might want to soften the edge of the vase. Watch that. It'll give you a little bit of reflected light around the edge of that vase here.
Yeah.
Little reflected light goes a long way. And it's going to give the illusion that that vase is definitely moving away from us here. We're just suggesting the edge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's really how it looked.
Oh, good. Okay. Anyways, nicely done on that. Let's move on. This is another one that you did?
This was another one developed from just a random mark, which was...
Oh, really? So is this out of your imagination then?
Yeah.
Jeez, you need to go here more often. Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have like, this is pretty cool. I really like your choices. It needs to be painted.
Yeah.
It's fun, it's whimsical, and it's you're breaking rules left and right.
Great.
Okay. Yeah, you rule breaker, you.
Yes.
Be careful of your values. Your values up here. Okay, your values on that that handle there. Careful of your values and your value here. Okay. Unless they're deliberate, unless you want us to go there. And then watch out for tangents. Look at your banana. See where your banana comes into alignment with the top banana. You know, I always wondered who the top banana was, and now I found out. All right, right in there. I mean, that shouldn't have happened. In here, you see where I'm going with that?
So that shouldn't happen?
Well, yeah, you're aligning the banana with the edge of the that vase right there. The edge
Yeah.
your contours are lining up, so that's a tangent. So you got to be careful. You want to avoid that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, avoid wherever the contours come into alignment with each other.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. That's a rule. All right, onward with color. All right, and whose is this?
This is Kurtz.
Hey, Kurt. Hi.
Nice.
Good morning.
Look at you. You know, you wanna paint the fruit sometimes that when the viewer is looking at them, they actually start to salivate. Okay, and I think you got that. It feels like I can move my nose into this area here and take a whiff, and I would actually smell the fruit. So,
That's a nice compliment.
yeah, it is. I really appreciate that. Hold on. Yeah. Wow, it's a good study. It's good realism you got going on there. And I'm looking at the design. Nice work on the design. Wow. I think one thing I would do is up here on the left-hand corner where these are all coming into to play. Hold on. I want a thinner approach here. Where this is coming into play right here and here. That corner is so strong and dark. I'm just wondering if it's if it can be toned just a wee bit. So I'm going to do this. I'm just going to kind of lose that top edge there just a little bit here. The contour of that top edge, making it less important. Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, hold on a second. Now hold on a minute there. Let's see. And then the temperature. This is a deep, dark, warmer pattern here. So I'm going to lighten it up just a little bit on that plane back on that top part of that corner of that table. Okay, I'm going to just subtract a little bit from it. So it's now going to recede away a little bit more. See that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So that's a possibility of a remedy.
Thank you. I struggled with the background quite a bit, actually.
The blue.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do after I got the table and the fruit. I thought, what am I going to do with the rest of the piece of paper?
Okay. Well, at minimal, you can do this. You can work to create fewer patterns back there. And let's see if I can do this. I'm going to do something here. See how it's dark on the right-hand side in the background, that dark blue?
Yes.
A beautiful color. So I'm going to go into the left-hand side, and I'm just going to kind of tone it down just a little bit. Just going to simplify it. You could scrape color back in there if you want. My color's a little bit off. It could be a better color. So I'm just going to kind of simplify it, darken it down, and it's going to take away the importance of those streaky patterns that are back there. Okay? And so now the folk.
Thomas, those are windows.
Oh, is that what those are?
That's a suggestion of a window.
Right. Okay. So watch this. Your windows are looking more like streaky patterns. So
Yeah.
okay, but I'm bringing them out, but they're not as they look a little more decisive than what they were.
I like that.
Okay, so by darkening down just a little bit what's behind the fruit now comes forward and you know, and takes on a little more glow. So you just need to go back into it and simplify it a little bit more and tone it down and vignette it and make it you know, just a darker pattern.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I love the table. It's really brilliantly lit up and it's got great texture.
Well,
The
thank you.
What's the medium?
That's acrylic.
Yeah, you've got Trump Loy in your future, sir. Right? Trump Loy? You know Trump Loy.
Kurt, did you work from a photograph you took of a still life, or did you set it up and paint?
No, I set up the still life, took a photograph, then I went into Notan. Notan is my new best friend in art.
Yay!
And then I worked a kind of Notan on the paper, and then I painted over the Notan.
Oh, that's brilliant. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's what you need to do. All right, the last thing I'll say, and then I'm going to move on, Kurt, is the plane of the foreground of this bowl here.
Yeah.
You've got kind of a dark. Wait, let me get that over here. You've got a dark contour here. I'm just going to kind of slightly darken down the edge underneath just a little bit here.
What software are you using?
I'm using called Procreate. Okay, called Procreate. So
On your iPad?
yeah, it's iPad. All right, so by darkening it down underneath that highlight just a little bit, now that plane pops forward a little bit more.
Yes.
Okay. Anyways, nicely done on the still life.
Thank you.
And thank you very much. And who's this? Oh, Nicola.
It's me.
It's me.
Hi.
Hi. Wow. Okay. So I'm going to deconstruct this really quick. Okay.
Okay.
You've got a really nice warm painting. You're working with complementary hues. You've got oranges and blues and gray greens and warm brownish red reds. And you got a nice highlight on your bottle here. It's very painterly and it's loose. It looks like you had fun with it as well. It's very painterly and looks like Bonnard. It looks like a Bonnard. Are you familiar with Bonnard?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. So nicely done.
Thank you.
Looks like we got a little Pete Mondrian coming into the background there too, but those aren't his colors. Those aren't his colors. I think what would be really nice on this would be to take a little bit of a lighter value and come in and just pop up the highlight on the table, on the little stool here.
Mm.
Just a little bit, just sneak up on it a little bit. So just give a, because you've got light on there, it might serve to create another area of interest between what's in light and what's in shadow. Give indication on that stool top. Oh, I missed the drawing on that one. Okay, just something like that would be interesting. IMO. Okay.
Yeah.
Sneaking up on it, and the other one is that fruit is glossy. Okay, the fruit is glossy. So glossy surfaces have harder reflected light or harder edges, right? So I'm gonna on the highlights. So I'm gonna just go in here. I'm gonna kind of give myself a little bit harder mark here. Just make something pop out just a little bit more. Just a little bit, just to pop it a little bit more. I might have just done too much on that one on the right. Same with the glass. Little more of a highlight on the glass, and maybe on the water, where the water is inside.
There is no water. That was the reflection off the lamp.
Oh, there's no water, huh? Okay.
Right.
Oh, okay.
It's just an empty bottle.
I know the feeling. Oh, geez.
Actually, I started with the armature and tried to draw the whole thing within the armature, and I actually was having a hard time with it.
Well, they're not always going to align. There are armatures, but you've got to like work with it. You've got to, at least you got to see where the armatures are, and then make a decision on, do you want to make the bottle taller so it aligns with something on the armature, or do you want to make it shorter, or do you want to move it to the left or to the right, or
that white piece of paper, I changed that for the armature.
Well, there you go. I say more.
You know what's really fascinating though with some work, like with this work, even though it's stated that it doesn't fit within the armature, the way that the shapes and the colors are placed in the page, and how, the sort of like the feeling state in the body, it works for me really well. It's got this wonderful circular flow to it. Yeah. It almost becomes a circular composition in a way, just with the color and the shapes. It's just wonderful, Nicola. Good job.
Oh, thanks, Dylan.
All right. One thing I'm going to suggest. I'm going to take this blue gray. I'm going to take a kind of a blue gray, which is the complement to the orange. Okay. I'm going to come in here like so, and I'm going to see if I can bring in a little more. I'm going to go into the shadow of the persimmon, the top persimmon here, and I'm just going to glaze over that shadow a little bit of the kind of blue violet into that dark shadow, just because it's a complement, and it's going to bring a little more interesting note to that piece. Same with the persimmon in the foreground. You've got a bunch of warm.
Yeah, I like that.
And I'm going to bring in that same blue violet into that one, into the middle, so the shadow's a little more transparent than what you had there. It was a little too contrasty. So, you might consider playing a little bit more with color, and having things be more interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. That was fun.
Was that acrylic or oil?
Yeah, it's acrylic.
Very nice. And whose is this?
That's mine, Alice.
Hey, Alice. Okay. Wow. That's a lot of work on a simple sketchbook, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Kurt, you're in trouble.
I know. I've known that for 45 years.
Oh, look at that. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Look at that. This is fun to look at.
That's a great dish towel.
Yeah, it sure is. Okay. That's a lot of work that went into this. Okay, so I would say, watch what happens when I crop off the left part of the painting.
Yes, that was funny. I was sort of thinking about doing that anyway, because I couldn't figure out how to make the end of the rolling pin.
Which end?
The
far end?
Yeah.
The far end, yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, it kind of, yeah.
And I felt like that plate had too much white for that corner.
Yeah.
So I was thinking I might do that.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, why don't you consider like just cropping it there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take it down also lower so I can kind of crop out, just see what happens, what it looks like if some of the bottom of the table is cropped out as well.
Wow, I
This
like that.
watercolor?
Yeah.
So all
Wow.
I'm doing, I'm eliminating the superfluous.
Yes.
Okay.
What would you do with the background? I didn't know what to do with the background, so I thought I would wait and get some advice.
Okay. So what I'd really like in design, some of the most successful paintings have harmony to them in color.
Right.
So if you have a color scheme worked out, like you've got gray-green table, gray greens versus reds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you've got some complementary stuff going on here. You could, you've got yellows, you've got some blues. I would try to keep it toned down. I'm gonna go up to the yellow orange range here.
Okay.
Tint, a little warmer. That's a tint. And I would slightly try to tone. Let's see if I can get this to be larger. Okay, I'm going to go up to the top, and I'm just going to give it a harmonious tone. I'm going to start on the left-hand side. I'm going to just go from the top down. I'm going to leave it lighter behind the table and leave it a little darker up at the top edge of the paper. I'm going to sneak up on it here. Again, it's not white, so it's not conflicting as far as the value, but the temperature of what I'm putting on is more harmonious with the cutting board and the okay, so I'm going to try to tie things together a little bit. I'm not going to give it all the same color, but at least I'm standing a better chance of integrating the background with the table. I could even run it over the table. Okay. Like look at the top of the middle of the table to the right of that cup. I'm just kind of like tying that in a little bit here. So the background integrates with the rest of the painting. Okay, so that's an idea. Doesn't necessarily have to be that color, but now at least things are harmonized.
White. Yeah.
I can bring that as a glaze over the table as well, which is what I'm doing right now. The whole table is going to get that same color of the background over it. So it's all going to hold together. I could even bring it over, a slight glaze over the apples, which I'm doing right now, and over the cup. Okay, it's very, very, very subtle. I can even slightly glaze over the dish towel that Kurt loves so much. Okay, and then even over the yellow pottery of that plate on the left. So now look at that. You've got a common denominator, very subtle, that's influencing the entire painting. So it ties it together. So now if we just crop it, you're already halfway there. Okay.
Yeah. Crop the bottom and crop the side.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
About there. That would be nice, you know.
It's very nice.
I would even crop off the bottom of that table.
Yeah.
Consider it anyway.
Bottom. I didn't know what to do with the bottom, so you found the place where I just went, okay, well, just whatever.
That's my job.
Yeah.
That's the Inspector Clouseau part of me.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. All right, Diana, you here?
Yep, I'm here.
Hi there.
Hello.
All right. So this was fun. You had fun with this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My figs from my garden.
Excellent. This is watercolor with pastel or color pencil?
Well, it's watercolor pencils. I just thought I would give it a try.
All right.
Yeah, just drew with them and then, activated the.
Yeah, it's an interesting composition. I like what you were experimenting with.
Yeah, I liked all the different colors they are.
Yes. Now, I would do one thing. you have this strong source of light right here.
Yeah.
Okay. I know it's watercolor.
That's pastel.
Oh, this pastel?
Actually. The white was pastel because I didn't know. There was a highlights and I didn't know quite what to do.
All right. Well, I am going to see if I could create some variation. So it doesn't cut like right on that line that I see down here, was that the table or is that an armature or what was that?
Sorry, which line?
That line, that diagonal right there.
It's on a cutting board.
Oh, cutting board. Okay. All right. So
Part of it was yellow and
I'm
part of
going
it's
to go
white.
over it right now. I'm going to go over it with a yellow. I'm going to soften that transition. Okay. And I'm going to try to lead the viewer's eye back into the painting to the right center just by sneaking up on it. I know the cutting board was saying one thing, but you're the artist. Okay. Don't let cutting boards push you around. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now this is what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of bringing that yellow into the whole part of that center mass here. Okay. And now that gives me an entryway. It's like a lead line that's going off into the
I see.
into here. Again, this is just an idea. Doesn't have to be done this way, but it's a possibility.
I like that.
Yeah, I like what you're doing to it.
Okay. Again, I might have gone a little.
It also
yeah. What?
It also complements the purple fig on the left.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back into it. I went a little strong with that, so I'm going to go back into it with a little bit of violet and soften it down just a touch. All right. So there you go. So that's a possibility. Okay, but I really do like what you're doing. I like the highlights on this. I would see if I could. I'm going to go into this one right here, and I'm going to just kind of indicate a little brighter, more translucent looking note.
I sure want to eat those.
I know, me too.
Oh my God. It's like,
they're really good.
those? Are they?
I was
Where did you
getting
get
like
them?
5 a day. They're really good.
What are they?
They're figs.
They're figs. Yeah. Anyway, this is fun. It's a fun figment.
It's the first time I've used those watercolor pencils like that.
Okay. Yes?
Would you talk a little bit about shadows? Because I'm always nervous about using black for shadows.
Don't use black.
No?
No. Stay away from black at all costs unless you know how to mix color. Black is just an easy rendition for.
I think that's brown. Bark, maybe.
Bark?
Bark.
Sounds like a dog. Okay, the thing I know about shadows, you want to make them transparent. Okay, you want to make them transparent. I'm going to just pick this one and move along here. We have ourselves a violet. We have a violet, right? So a complement of a violet is more of a yellow. And the violet's on the left, fig. There's a green one on the right. The light's hitting the green here. Okay, the light's hitting there and bouncing down into that shadow. And it's also bouncing to the left side of that, the right side of the left fig. But look at the shadow and how dark that is. And you know it's on a sandy colored board. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to take a little bit of greenish yellow here. Greenish yellow. And I'm going to just slightly lighten up the shadow in there with a little bit of green, gray, reflected light. Okay, getting rid of the harshness and contrast, making the shadow a little more transparent. over there on the top part of that shadow. Okay, and that's mostly due to the reflected light from the this green fig here. Okay, so that red and the green, the violet and the yellow, I could probably even squeeze in a little bit more yellow to it, just because it's the color of the table, and see if I can make it also a little more interesting. Okay, so I'm thinking color. See what that does? Just makes it more transparent.
Yeah.
A little more fun too. And
Yeah, I knew they were pretty dark, but I didn't know how to lighten them.
Yeah, yeah. It takes practice. It takes practice. One last one, because I'm into this drawing that you did here. It's really worked. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to look for a kind of a gray complementary violet for this shadow on the right here. I'm going to come in like so, and I'm going to spice this up a little bit here. I'm going to just add a little violet gray down in here. Jesus, turn off my notifications here. A little violet. More fun with color.
Oh yeah, that looks nice.
Okay.
Wow.
Changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Okay. All righty. Now,
Thanks.
thank you. You're welcome. Katie.
Yes.
Hey. So you're moving into the pop art world, I see. Good for you. You've got yourself a square format and kind of a square composition, or
Right.
circular composition within a square.
Yes.
And it looks fun. It looks great. It looks like you photographed this outdoors. And
No.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I just photographed it in my kitchen. It's
In your
with
kitchen?
the
Okay.
light coming in.
Okay. Let's see. You know, I like the way you're tying the shapes together here. All right. Nicely done there. I like the reflected light on the back tomato there. You got the mayonnaise jar reflecting. I think you could maybe get away with a little brighter reflected light on the top tomato, just a little bit.
Okay.
Just a touch, a little more. And then the jar. The jar moves a little flat there. All right, so I would look for ways, if you're going to have that much reflected light on the tomatoes, that jar is going to also have a glossy surface. So I would look again to see if I could bring out a little more reflected light on that thing. Just to make it a pattern that's interesting.
Okay.
Okay, so it's kind of consistent with whatever the light source is. And maybe, you know, you can maybe go and give a couple more patterns on what's in texture. I like the highlight on it though. The highlight on that lid is really nice.
Thanks.
Anyway, it's fun. You did well. I love just being able to draw on your guys', you know, drawings here. I think that's pretty good. Just pop it a little bit more. I think that's all you need. A little more poppy. Look at that. Just a little pop. Can go a long way. So thank you for doing that. Now this is who's this? Oh, Diana again. Diana, you here still?
Yeah, I'm still
All right.
here. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Circular composition.
I did that a while ago.
Oh, you did? So it's not in this class?
No.
Oh. I gotta stick with what's in the class.
It's oil.
That's nice. I can tell it's nice and glossy. Who's this? Lola. Okay, Lola. Boy, that took a lot of courage. Chopping up a bell pepper like that. Poor thing.
Well, I've learned why pastels are called pastels. You can't get rich, deep colors because the photograph is very, very brilliant red, rich red.
Yeah.
And I probably could have kept working on it and bringing out a deep, beautiful red, but all the pastels I had, and I used pastel pencils too, they just couldn't make it pop.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and
go ahead.
I think I would have cut it off a little more too somehow. Cropped it a bit more.
Yeah, you probably could have gotten away with, something like that. All right, the thing about pastels, again, there are some deep, rich pastels. There really are.
Yeah.
You just you have to work dark to light with them. Okay, dark to light. You have to ask yourself what's in light, what's in shadow. You can't go any lighter than this right now. Your highlights are looking a little bit chalky. Okay, so there's almost too much lighter pastel notes going into that mix. I do know that there are deeper red and red brown and red violet pastels that you might want to introduce into this in order to make something, something pop. If you're so inclined.
Yeah, I've got a couple different sets and they just didn't have the rich reds. I know I have to spring for them if I'm going to continue with this medium.
Yeah.
I'm thinking more and more of oils, but oh boy.
Oil boy.
I know, oil boy.
So, another thing is you can work in acrylics. You can do your acrylic painting and then you can do pastels over your acrylics, or you could do it in watercolor and you can do pastels into watercolor. Try that. You're actually painting with them, okay?
Yeah, I have to think about it. I've got so many different printmaking inks.
Yeah.
And pastels, a little bit of acrylic. I have to commit financially to,
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll say about it is it's a noble endeavor to chop up the bell pepper, but I want you to pay attention to the relative sizes of the shapes. Okay? Like this has this shape. Okay, this has this shape. This has this shape. They're very, very similar in size. Okay. So we're kind of left with these four shapes that aren't really overlapping. They're all like side by side. And so don't be afraid to move one in front of the other, or have something that's at least in front of or behind something else.
Yeah, there's no dynamic thing going on. Yeah, I can see that. Redundant.
Yeah. So now you can also paint over this. You can go and paint over it with oils or paint over it with acrylics, either one. But this is on paper, right? So do the acrylics or gouache.
Pastel paper, yeah.
Give it a spray fix first. Spray fix it, and then go into it. Okay, with acrylics or even a gouache. And
I do have a set of. I have quite a bit of gouache. I forgot.
Good.
Color 3 class. Okay.
Good. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's a nice color harmony. Okay. All right. All right. Now we're moving into the doodles. Elizabeth. Hello, Elizabeth.
Morning, Tom.
Good morning, Elizabeth. Hey, was this your doodle up here?
Okay, so no, I totally I was trying to retrace what the doodle was. I didn't send the doodle. I'm so sorry. I think it went from the right shoulder of the blue-haired singer around her face, and then down through the guitar and kind of up through the gray on the guy's shirt, and then around to the hand. But I don't entirely remember.
Well, it's interesting. I like what you did.
Yeah, it was fun. That was a fun thing to do.
That looks like it could become a guitar pick.
Oh yeah, it could.
And
It
I like
could.
the silhouettes of the. I'm just noticing now the silhouettes of the people in the
screaming fans.
Oh man, that's great. So it looks like you had fun.
Oh yeah, I had a lot of fun with that one.
It's playful. It's whimsical. It's loose. It's you know, it's. I think it says a lot.
Yeah, it worked. That one worked pretty well.
Yeah.
I was content with the way that one turned out, except for the shadow over on the right. And I did it in watercolor. I was like, I can't fix that now. The shadow and the spotlight.
Okay. Yeah. I like the texture, the texture of the outfit. How did you do that?
Okay, so what I did was I went back through with watercolor pencil.
Okay.
And I just left some of the watercolor pencil unbrushed so that it looked kind of you know, sequiny or whatever.
Yeah. It works. So, you know, it would have been interesting too to maybe have a little bit of that going on in this person's outfit. Or,
yeah.
You know, in the future, you know, keep that in mind. Unless it's, you know, it would detract too much from what it is you're trying to say. It's a very nice technique if you ever do this again.
Yeah.
It's just, I think this could be, I like her too. Blue hair. Amazing. You've got a wild imagination, kid. Good
like I said, this is what we used to do when we were bored in church.
All right. I'm not going to go there, but I'll tell you what. Okay, so let me ask you this, Misa, Dylan, before we go on to you, this
Yes.
mark here, and
Hi,
this
Leilani.
here, this is Sandy's.
You have that? I sent one last week. Did you get a mail letter last week?
Yeah, I got it. But this is Sandy's, right? Is Sandy?
Yeah.
Hi, Sandy.
Yeah, that's my mark also.
That's your mark. Okay, so this is interesting. This was the automatic drawing?
Yes.
Okay.
It needs to be rotated.
This way?
Counterclockwise.
Counterclockwise, okay.
There you go.
Okay. Nice armature.
Yeah, that's the only reason I didn't redo the mark. I was really struggling with the mark.
You were? In what way?
Yeah, I coming up with something, and I was a little disappointed in my placement. I was kind of wishing my mark was a little closer to center.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wasn't coming up with anything brilliant to make out of that doodle.
All right. So the doodle itself, how many times can I say this? The doodle itself, that was not automatic drawing, right?
Yes, it was.
It was. And then it just stopped. It said, no more, I'm not going on from here.
Yeah, it was pretty disappointed in itself.
You know, you just can't trust that fourth dimension. You know, they're so like temperamental. All right, and so this is what you kind of made from it.
It is.
Very interesting. Now, is this the way it's supposed to go, right?
That is correct.
You try turning it upside down?
Well, then it has a little different meaning, but yes.
Yeah. So tell me, okay, what meaning does it have here?
They're dancers.
They're dancers. Yeah, I got that. They're dancers with very pointy feet.
Correct.
Got it. And then I see the dancers. I see the dress. And then here, these look like almost like bull horns. I like that. But now I get the dancers. So you made something from nothing. I like the patterns too. The colors of the dresses. your color scheme, the violets, the blue grays, the grays, the yellows. Nice. All right. Okay. All right. One thing I'll just mention is when you have patterns and things up that are going off the page, they're all leading us in this. I gotta go darker here. They're leading us in this direction off the page. Okay. All right. So you got to be careful that you may not want us to go off the page like that. So when that happens, you might want to look for ways of closing off that corner.
Okay.
Toning it down. So we don't, our eye is not interested in going off the page. Okay, that'll keep us in the, in here more.
Right.
Okay. And yeah, go ahead. Okay, that's it. All right.
That's
awesome. Thank you. Okay, keep going here. All right, now, Dylan, you sent me a whole bunch of things, Dylan. Are you here? Hi.
I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay, so I looked at this one last week, right?
That was one that I did when I did life painting. I did our design homework in mind.
Okay.
So so for this one here, I did a blend of sort of like watching my hand draw, but then I also had moments where I made marks in relation to the figure.
Got it.
And then I'm continuing with this stained glass window sort of concept. So I put it into Photoshop because I wanted to saturate the colors and give it a texture.
Got it. And it worked. It worked. And so you got what? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the influence of everybody in these assignments.
Good. This is fun. I like this one.
Yeah.
You know what I like about this one is like there's so many engaging lines, but not too many. You got bigger shapes happening, and where you do have the small patterns, they're constricted or restricted to certain areas within the composition. This is a very successful piece. I'd love to see it that way. I'd love to see it this way.
Yeah.
Look at this. It looks like someone's standing on a balcony looking out off over the abyss.
Yeah, it holds all ways.
It does. It does.
Oh, they're looking over the peasants, Tom. Looking over the peasants.
No. She's a princess. No.
I have a question about the texture. It looks like almost like a needlepoint or something.
I work in doing this pandemic series of acrylic on cardboard, and it's inspired by the live model or life. And then I put it into Photoshop because I'm not able to, or actually this was done in oil. I'm not able to get the vibrancy. And then they have a bunch of different filters, and I experiment with filters and put filters on it to give it the texture.
So it's digital art.
Yeah.
But you start off with regular, you scan it, right? You scan it.
That was live, yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a look at this series here. See, this is the fun zone.
Okay, bye.
Wow.
That one started out too. What I did is I did sort of like a drawing underneath it to prepare for the class, were those sort of like circles from the other design homework.
Yeah.
Then I began to paint with the fourth dimension thing being present, and then I also worked in just some of the, I think those were 2-minute gestures.
Okay. So you're integrating many different experiences.
Yes.
I love the color schemes, the yellows and the violets. Yeah, you're
and I'm trying to work in, be a little more conscious with the color choices, working in, complements and split harmonies and stuff. I'm trying to be, while I work unconsciously, I try to at least anchor into, it's a struggle, but try to make more conscious choices about color.
Yeah. Well, it shows it's working, and so your whole concept.
And that one's not in Photoshop. I just wanted to show what they're like before they're processed. It's
Is
just
this the correct way to look at it?
You can look at it all ways, I found.
Yeah. I mean, wow. These are wild.
It feels different. Each view has a different feeling in the body.
Wow. And this is on cardboard.
This is on pandemic cardboard.
Pandemic cardboard. Yeah, I like the texturing of it.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then you get the color of the cardboard through, which in Photoshop really it's really fluid in terms of like if you change the hue, it's really versatile.
Yeah, this is the tone. The tone. It's a harmonizing tone. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
All right, nicely done. Really, really cool. And then this is the last one here.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that one I might go in a little bit more. I turned it into black and white, and I think I want it to have a little bit, but not a lot more, like let's see, from the left, the 1, 2, 3 main shape by the yellow triangle. I'm gonna over more by the. I want to change the values of those a bit so that they're a little bit different.
Yeah. You know what I would like to see is somehow you got the patterns of the cardboard coming through. You can see that, but you're not getting the tone of that that cardboard color coming through on all of these. On this one especially.
They change when you put it in Photoshop.
That's not fair. It should pick it up. It should pick it up.
Yeah, but what I can do is with the dark line and with the cardboard, actually, I can go back in and I might do it in a different color. They're also really, I might like put a wash over it, put maybe a blue wash.
You could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a painting in itself, right?
Yeah.
A painting within a painting.
Yeah, and I think it was kind of inspired by seeing the Matisse. I mean, those are figures. You can see the interlocking figures at the top if you see the sort of like the abstract heads. Yeah, pretty, huh?
I would love to see you work on this. I mean, I would really just like to watch you develop the painting.
Yeah, I may actually do an oil painting from this.
It's beautiful.
Well, I mean, I'd like to see this process, the digital process.
Yeah.
You know,
is this texture from Photoshop?
Yes, correct.
That's very clever.
Well, Photoshop is very clever.
It's 21st century technology. Okay, so let's see. Thank you, Dylan.
You're welcome.
Okay, so Cassie, I know you sent some stuff in, and if anybody else sent some stuff in, you know, at the last second here, we can work on them at the end of the class if you are still interested in me doing that.
Thomas, I had sent you my automatic stuff, but and I think you had put it into the figure drawing class by accident.
Oh, that's right. Oh yeah, that was quite the image.
But it's not too important.
Okay. No, I'd like to look at that. But we got to move on. We've got to really get on with this next section of the design.
Thanks for your feedback, Thomas.
Sure, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, it's very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. So I'm going to do a new. I want everybody. Let's take a 5-minute break, and we'll come back in, and we'll get right into the next phase of this class. We got a lot to cover here. Let me get out of this. Cancel. And okay, cancel. Hold on. I'm going to stop share. 5 minutes. All right, is everybody back? Here we go. Let's make sure we got, yeah, we got
All set.
All set? All right. Okay, so Kurt, I'm glad you're here. Before we get into this next lesson here and trip down memory lane, remember when I said to you that the way you had rendered the fruit in your still life was done in a way that it felt like I could stick my nose down into that one section and and breathe in, and I would smell the fruit. All right. This is my teacher, Dan McCaw. I sent out to you all last week some notes that I took out of his book he wrote, which is called Strategies for Creating Great Art. And I compiled some of his notes in the book and sent them out to you. But he used to say, this is one of his still life paintings here. So everything that's basically going on with his paintings in general or his still lifes that he does, what you read in those notes is what he applies to his own renderings. But he used to say, it's not what the apple looks like, but what it tastes like. All right, so when you're doing still lifes, you need to sometimes, like if it's of apples, you need to take a bite of that apple while you're painting. Okay, so you're literally translating that emotion into your painting as far as color and shape and paint application. It's all about the feeling of it. All right, so that's the next step. Once you've learned the basics of art fundamentals, then it's all what you can do with it and make it personal and your personal interpretation of it. All right, so I just wanted to show you this one painting of Dan's here. Okay, all right, that's done. Hold on a second. Now I'm going to go into screen share and I'm going to show. All right, you should all be able to see my desktop now. We are moving on. We're going back in time here. You know, we ended off with, we were talking about the Art Nouveau time period and the Japanese influence on the artists of the day back then. And in the 1870s, 1880s, the Victorian era, when everything was really, the industrial age had come into being, and there was a lot of transition, a lot of movement around the world. In the 1870s and 80s, there was a Frenchman named Jules Tavernier, or some people call him Tavernier, who he had quite the life as an artist, moving across the United States, getting commissioned by Harper's Weekly to go west with the wagon trains and get in with the Indian culture, the Native Americans. He was the first Western artist before Remington and Russell to get in and paint and draw the Native Americans and their cultures. And that included the sun dances and some of their religious ceremonies. Anyways, when he made it out to San Francisco, he learned that killer whale was going off. So he took a boat. He got out of San Francisco and took a boat to the Big Island, where he and a handful of artists would go down into the volcanoes and create these paintings. Now, I think they just sketched them from a distance, to tell you the truth. But the whole idea about painting on location at night was really one of his, I guess, his influences here. So they call themselves a volcano school. It was around 1887. And again, I think a lot of it was from imagination and witnessing it, because you couldn't get this close to lava back then without any type of a suit, a hazmat suit, or even something that's going to keep you from, catching on fire yourself. Right. Anyways, there's a hell of a history on this man. Just really, really great. He started the Monterey School of Art as well. And I think he's the one that influenced, you know, a big movement of the genre of nocturne painting as well before it really took hold here in California. All right. Okay, so we're going to watch this. This is a real quick video here. And it's on the Japanese art in the 1860s to the 1880s. Again, it's really fast. And you saw this image that I showed last week here. This is a really nice video that they put together. They've got two. This is a curator's view. This is a good lecture that this man on the left procures and describes in detail certain elements of the Japanese print and woodblock, the woodblock prints on the 18th century and 19th century artists. So let's see.
The introduction of Japanese aesthetics in the 19th century radically transformed the practices and techniques of Western artists. In the 1850s, Western powers compelled Japan to open to international trade following more than 2 centuries of self-imposed isolation. Thereafter, Japan sent delegates to the West to shape its image abroad and ship porcelains, bronzes, and other works of art for display at world's fairs. Western artists, seeking alternatives to the dominant artistic styles of the time, took fresh inspiration from Japanese art. Imports from the region sparked a popular fashion for things Japanese, a phenomenon dubbed Japonisme by French writers. The most direct impact was in the decorative arts, where Japanese designs were often copied or imaginatively recombined. In this French inkstand, the artist added a depiction of Japan's Mount Fuji in addition to other motifs. Here, Japanese-style designs of butterflies and flowers were used to adorn a European metal tea set. Many Western painters incorporated Japanese art and clothing in their works as fashionable props, such as this folding screen and this silk kimono. American artist Charles Carroll Coleman included a Japanese bronze vase and patterned silk fabric into this still life painting. Painting formats also changed in response to Japanese models. Here, Coleman used the narrow vertical format of a Japanese hanging scroll.
It amplifies it.
Instead of the shading and realistic modeling typical of traditional Western paintings and prints, Japanese prints relied on solid areas of color and pattern, as in this print by Kikukawa Eisan. A similar flattening effect can be seen in this work by Mary Cassatt. Patterns of rhythmically arranged feathers or petals in Japanese prints had an impact on print design in Europe and North America as well. Repeated motifs, like the trees in this print by Katsushika Hokuzai, inspired similar experiments by Western painters. Utagawa Hiroshige radically enlarged compositional elements, pressing them flat against the picture plane. Here, a large red lantern and gatepost frame a view into space. Poster designers in France and America used similar techniques to create bold graphic emblems of modern urban life. The bright colors, strong diagonals, and asymmetry of Japanese prints were among the other elements admired in the West. In fact, the borrowing flowed both ways. Japanese artists also had a history of experimenting with Western practices. Looking East examines how motifs and techniques from Japan sparked new creative expression in the West. As you explore the galleries, look for the shared artistic devices in the Japanese and Western artworks on view.
All right. Any comments? Questions?
I have a political comment.
Okay.
We're going into an era in our country where we're celebrating diversity and in terms of like cabinet choices. And I just want to say that art shows us that our life can be enriched by taking in and drinking different perspectives. So thank you, Japan, for your influence in the West, and thank you, West, for sharing with Japan.
All right. Thank you, Dylan. Okay. All right, let me bring up a new share here. I got to, here we go. There we go. All right. So I find this, what you're about to see here, which not everybody knows about this, but we studied these woodblock prints. And the thing about the woodblock print, you could have many different schemes color-wise from one single print. So this is an example right here of the same woodblock print being given 4 different color schemes. So you've got, like, you know, morning hours, afternoon hours, midday hours maybe, and even evening hours. So it could be reused and reconfigured based on the color schemes. So this is one of the things that influenced Monet when he started doing in the 1890s his mini series of haystacks, or for instance, the Rouen Cathedral series. I think he did like 30 paintings where he set up across the street from the Rouen Cathedral, and he had all these canvases stretched and drawn in compositionally, and he hired a young man to bring his canvases to his easel at different times of day and or atmospheric conditions. And he worked on these for a few months to get them all working.
It's like a human Photoshop.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. But they're not all the same. I mean, like you can see the designs are slightly different in a few of them. Okay, where the cathedral is here, some are cropped, some are not. But you can see definitely where he would use the same design on many of them. And he was just studying light and playing with color and the whole philosophy of Impressionism. And so there you go. Thank you, Japanese, again, for introducing the same composition but under different light. Okay, this is a painting here that shows the. Here, I'm going to go a large screen on this. That shows the influence of the Japanese again, right around that same time, 1865, the year the Civil War in America ended, and the new Civil War in Paris was about to begin. Anyways, you can see obviously a woman, a French woman, with the Japanese screen in the back, and this is a painting by Monet of his fiance at the time. Last name was Horshad. Anyways, woman with a fan. You can see obviously everything was Japanese. The world had opened up. Okay, so this is 1872. You can see this from this print here, an example of the Japanese woodblock prints showing water lilies, and how that may have been an influence, and more than likely was, for Monet to create his entire series of water lily paintings, especially after he had been granted a boatload of money to create his garden by some royal like a duke or somebody like that. I can't remember. Anyways, so at the time, there was, not everything was peaceful and quiet amongst the artists of the day. They didn't all get along. And the one quote that I learned was Mary Cassatt, when someone had mentioned Monet's name in a conversation and about how beautiful his water lily paintings were. She said, Monet's water lily paintings are like wallpaper. And he heard that Mary Cassatt had quoted that. And so he said, well, Mary Cassatt, her painting, she is too influenced by the Japanese, was his response. Again, this was that same print that they just showed in that video. And you can see how Mary Cassatt in her compositions were influenced by that same subject matter. Okay. All right. Same time period, the Art Nouveau, 1870s, 1880s. Take a look at the introduction of more organic material into the design work, both metallurgy and woodworking designs, in architecture, in wallpaper. Okay. Here we go again with the advertising designs here. The beautiful arabesque shapes, big, simplified, dynamic shapes, medium-sized shapes, small patterned shapes. And when I showed you last week how that influenced the artists of the day of Bonnard and Vuillard and Klimt, how they would introduce these contrasts into their paintings. Here's an example of the organic quality of Gaudí, the architect, and how he would create these almost undulating underwater type of feeling to his architecture. This is Art Nouveau moving into the arts and crafts period, just taking him to an extreme. Pretty amazing stuff. This even looks like a frog here. So we have our own kind of architect in Santa Barbara, Jeff Shelton, right now, who's kind of influenced by Gaudí.
I was just going to bring that up, but I didn't want to distract.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Hold on, this is, it's freezing on me here. Stand by. Let me shrink this down. There we go. All right, going back. Okay, just a couple more images and then we're going to move on from the Art Nouveau time period here. Again, so this is the contrast. If you're interested in what these brought out at the time, you had the contrast of big, simplified, dynamic shapes. Looking for diagonals and dynamic shapes, medium shapes, positive and negative shapes, and then some fine shapes. Okay, this is an example of ceramics of the day. Simplified, poetic marks. All right, now this is, we're not going to watch this, but I will send out a few of these links here that I found that they're long lectures, and they're well worth looking at. So I'm just showing you that you can access these in the future here. Okay, so we move in from the Art Nouveau period to the arts and crafts period. And remember, I would say not too much of any one thing. Okay, it was the aesthetics. It was less is sometimes more. But also recognizing when patterns were too much or too not enough. Okay, this is also same time period. You had the Victorian era. You had the Franco-Prussian War in the 1870s, which turned into the French, the second French Revolution in the 1870s, which that artist Jules Tavernier escaped and Monet escaped. Everybody got out of France. That was quite the mess. You had the Chinese Boxer Rebellion. You had the Japanese. Yes, they were sending their prints and stuff in the mid-19th century over to Europe, but they were also turning into, because of industrialization, turning into more of a militarized country. and the samurai warrior concept was disappearing. In North Africa, the French were colonizing, and you remember the movie Beau Geste. You had the French Foreign Legion. There was this romanticism around the whole cultures of North Africa. The mysticism and the mystery behind the Islamic culture was taking hold in Europe. And here in America, especially here in Southern California, with the introduction of more Moorish type architecture, thanks to George Washington Smith and a few other architects of the day. You had the Boer War going on in South Africa, the Zulu Wars, and then an American war with Spain. Okay, all right, that's enough history context. I want you to watch this. This is another real short video. I'm only going to show you short videos today. This is this man named Tavis Leaf Clover. As far as I can tell, he has taken this whole thing about design and design armatures and applications of the design armatures and how you can deconstruct masterworks if you have an idea of them. So I'm seriously considering just subscribing to his channel just so I can learn more and see more. But we'll take a look at what he has to say here.
Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Tavis Leaf Clover, and today we have another Canon of Design quick tip. And right now we're going to be looking at Peter Paul Rubens, another one of my favorite artists. He's a Flemish painter from, I think it's the 1600s. And this one is of David and Goliath. You can see David's kind of whooping his butt, and Goliath is not doing so well. He's got all that bright paint showing the blood coming out. But let's look at a couple different design techniques, and then we'll be all set. So the first one we're going to look at is the coincidence running up from this leg and then going up through to the diagonals of the clouds, these distant clouds here, or if that's rain or whatever, but it's definitely a diagonal, and we're creating unity and movement. So the coincidence is an edge-to-edge relationship creating unity and movement, and it adheres to the law of continuity, which is a Gestalt psychology principle. So usually these techniques are best when they're hidden, so that typically means they're broken up and hidden from the viewer. They're not so obvious. So we can see how it's running up the leg, it's this elbow, and then it's broken up on the knee here, and then it continues up through the cloud. So it's nice and broken up, not too obvious, and it's creating that unity and movement that we like in paintings. Another one is the arabesque, and that one's also law of continuity, creates unity and movement. We can reduce this and see how it's coming down the arm, around this fabric here, around here, this contrast in the fabric, around the leg. This is broken up here, and then it continues down Goliath's shoulder, and then down to his head, and then hits this contrast here. Let me adjust this. Let's look at the ellipses, because I just saw another ellipse. This is another technique that adheres to the law of continuity. You can also hide it by breaking it up. Breaking it up just means that it's like a dot-to-dot construction instead of solid linear movements. Okay, so it's broken up here, the ellipse connects here, broken up here a little bit. Actually, there's contrast there. Across the eyebrows, broken up here, and then comes down the sword, and then around the fabric again. And then we also, I just saw another one. Let me draw that in. So when we were looking at the arabesque, I saw this other one here. It's a nice one. So we can see that nice ellipse there, okay? And you know what? When you're painting, drawing, photographing, anything, instead of just free-for-all shooting or painting whatever you feel like, just take a moment to sit down, relax, sketch some ideas up, and have a list of all these design techniques in front of you and kind of generate a little bit more movement, a little bit more unity. Slowly incorporate one technique after the other until you start getting to combine several of them, like these masters. The more techniques you incorporate into your painting or your photo, the more masterful it's going to feel to the viewer, okay? Definitely hide these techniques, kind of like a magician would a magic trick. So the next one is aerial perspective, and that's usually just when the contrast is reduced. It creates a little bit more depth, and it can create atmosphere and mood also. So typically, if you look at mountains in the distance, they'll start fading in contrast, especially fading like blue. So Rubens has that here. He's got these distant people faded away so they're not drawing more attention to them instead of the main subject. We've also got lighting effects here, which can reduce the contrast and act as aerial perspective also. So we'll turn that back on so you can see that. Okay, and the last technique we have is gamut, and that's the repeating diagonals, which adheres to the law of similarity. We've got a hidden unity and rhythm throughout the composition. So Rubens is repeating the diagonal of the leg with the diagonal of the arm. We saw this coincidence, but it's also repeating diagonals across the composition, and then across these other lines in the sky, across this fabric, across the sword he's holding, and then the knee and leg is the same diagonal as this arm to the chin and then to the fabric here. Okay, so that's all hidden techniques and can be used to create a more powerful composition. So this is Rubens. Definitely look at his stuff. He's got some amazing paintings and drawings. If you have a master in mind, photographer or a painter.
All right. That's informative. Let's see. Where's everybody here? New share.
Thomas, there was a list that was part of that video that was quite blurred. Do you know what that was?
Yeah, that's a list that when you subscribe to his website, you get that list for free. He keeps it blurred so you can't see it. Smart guy, huh? Oh, man. All right. Stand by. All right. So one of the things, okay, so this Jay Goldstein, we're not going to watch this because it's an hour long, but I did watch it. It's really fascinating. He stands up in front of the college students, and he's a sculptor himself, and he uses a chalkboard, not a whiteboard. And so it's really old school in watching him diagnose design. Very, very fascinating. Well worth seeing. What you just learned was the points of coincidence and the lines of coincidence. So when you're looking at a masterwork, it would help to be able to see where things come into alignment. Okay, I say this a lot with my class, my figure drawing class here. Hold on a second. This has got to shrink down. Here we go. With my figure drawing class, you're not just drawing randomly. You're trying to find relationships. Like he stopped here. If you were to draw a line from this woman's back here, okay, it would come right here to the top of the ear, maybe to the back of the shoulder. Where else would it go? It might come all the way down to here. All right. There's amazing line work that goes on that we don't normally see. So these are vertical and horizontal lines of coincidences. And where they intersect or where they touch certain contours within a picture, those are called points of coincidence. Okay. All right, there's your lesson. So I got this out. This is my wedding invitation I designed back in like 1991 using a grid pattern here and doing it in pencil first and then introducing just, I don't know, some Art Deco and Art Nouveau symbols, just creating something for my fiance and me at the time, and for our wedding invitation. And so it was fun to work with these grids. I mentioned that I'd like you guys to all get some grid paper for the next homework assignment, and so I'll let you know what that is later on in this class here. But
you
it
broke
helps
the symmetry at the bottom.
Sorry?
You broke the symmetry at the bottom. That's cool.
Yeah, I didn't even know I did it, but I did. At least I have, at least it's balanced. It's weird. Okay, all right. What happened to in the world to influence stylistically Art Nouveau to modernism? I think the key was a combination of imperialism and industrialization. So right around that same time, 1880s, 1890s, nobody knew anything about health, and there was a lot of soot in the air, and you had a development of traditional representational painters in America. that they were known as the ash can school. They would literally work back with earth tones and blacks, creating gray tones, and so they really captured kind of a sooty feel to their paint. Okay, and you can see here, this is John Sloan and his paintings, looking really gritty, kind of depressing, really, but it is what it is. But now look at the abstraction of the shapes. Rather than putting all the windows into the painting, look at how he chose to simplify shapes coming together.
Do you think the colorness of graffiti is a response to sort of like that grittiness in the city?
Well, it's either that or the fact that whatever paint they can get their hands on is going to dictate what they use, right? That's my opinion anyway. Because this is over 100 years ago when this was going on. This is the 1890s. Okay, 1890s into 1910, 1912. You had George Wesley Bellows, was a famous artist at the time. I only have so much time to look at these paintings. I mean, we could spend all day on one artist, you know. Take a look at the design work on this. Okay, look at the beautiful diagonals, the big dynamic shapes. What's in light, what's in shadow. Big simplified shapes, medium shapes, small shapes. Okay, and also look at the tone. The tone. So there was, while this abstraction was going on, and Cubism was going on and being born, and the abstract expressionism and Fauvism, pointillism, all these postmodern or these post-impressionist painters were painting in Europe with really brilliant colors. You had the Americans doing this type of work here. Still traditional representational subject matter, but at least they're experimenting with color and almost going in the opposite direction. Okay, all right, same time period in America. Look at the furniture design. Okay, big shapes, simplified, hand-carved look. Okay, the architecture, home architecture here, big shapes. Look at the beautiful ceramics here. Again, starting to simplify. You had a little Art Nouveau feel to it, but not so ornate. Kind of combination of, you'd still see a little bit of Asian influence to what they're doing. Okay, all right, so at the same time period, around 1908, moving pictures started to come into play here. And artists started trying to create more dynamics to their imagery. So this is trying to capture movement through moving pictures. Okay, Muybridge photographed this woman in motion. He also did one with a horse riding and galloping past a series of cameras to capture the horse in motion. All right, so this is groundbreaking for back then. So Marcel Duchamp created this image here. He had a photographer, take this picture of him here for this painting here, which was called Nude Descending a Staircase #2. And it showed at the Armory Show in 1908. So it was groundbreaking. This is totally abstraction and movement within, we're trying to capture movement within a static two-dimensional format. Okay, all right. We've got America, 1900 to 1920s. Okay, there's the Nude Descending the Staircase, one of the most avant-garde paintings of the time. And then between the next 20 years, you had an influence of the more abstract expressionist movement going on in Europe. So there was a kind of a clash starting to happen between the traditional representational painters of the time and those who were into aesthetics, and then those who totally rebelled against it. Okay, All right, so let's defend, shall we? Let's defend the abstract movement here.
For much of human history, when people set out to make art, they did so by trying to represent things as they appeared in the world around them. And then, about 100 years ago, a bunch of artists stopped trying to do that. It was shocking. This is not what art was supposed to be or do, and no one was given a compass really for navigating this new art terrain, for interpreting it, for appreciating it. It's less shocking now, but it still upsets and confounds. How are we supposed to deal with an art completely untethered from the world of recognizable objects? And more importantly, why should we? This is the case for abstraction. It's important to note that we didn't just dive headlong into complete abstraction in art. J.M.W. Turner's seascapes, for example, demonstrate that things that exist in the world can often look abstract. James McNeill Whistler's nocturnes show this too, as do Victor Hugo's ink drawings. But as the 19th century unfolded, with the Industrial Revolution and the invention of photography, life in European and American cities changed dramatically. And it should come as no surprise that representations of that life changed too. Artists were increasingly interested in depicting things non-naturalistically, setting about abstracting things, i.e. starting with worldly subject matter, but stylizing it, simplifying it, flattening it. By the 20th century, Matisse and André Derain were painting familiar things but in unfamiliar ways, using such intense colors and broad brushstrokes that a critic dubbed them the fauves, or wild beasts. Picasso and Georges Braque pioneered the Cubist style, painting much of the usual still life fodder but breaking it up into geometric shapes, fragmenting the picture plane, and showing multiple sides of a thing at once. Cubism simultaneously revealed more than what the eye could see, fusing multiple perspectives and moments in time, while also drawing attention to the flatness of the canvas itself. The Italian Futurists wanted to reflect the speed and overstimulation of modern urban life, also collapsing space and time into one image. German expressionist Ernst Ludwig Kirchner used abstraction and rich, unreal colors to depict the chaos and anxiety of the city street. His contemporaries Franz Marc and Vasily Kandinsky cited influences as diverse as tribal art from Africa, medieval German woodcuts, Russian folk art, Art Nouveau, and art by children. But while Marc pursued abstraction to connect with the natural world, Kandinsky's interest was to commune with the spiritual. He claimed his art was, quote, what the spectator lives or feels while under the effect of the form and color combinations of the picture. For Kandinsky, abstraction was not opposed to realism. It was realism. I mean, there are real things that can't be seen, after all. Emotion and consciousness are realities, and maybe they could be painted too. Kazimir Malevich called his brand of abstraction suprematism, saying his geometric elements, alone and in arrangements, constituted the zero of form, beyond which lay the, quote, supremacy of pure artistic feeling. In the years leading up to World War I, all these groups with names give the false impression that what was happening was cohesive or organized. It wasn't. Abstraction did emerge through an international network of artists who followed what each other were doing. But then again, we now know that Swedish painter Hilma af Klint was painting mostly abstract works as early as 1905. She was part of a group called the Five, who conducted seances to communicate with spirits through pictures. Klint's abstractions came from this interest in the spiritual and occult, as well as science, and the depiction of invisible forces like recently discovered electromagnetic fields, X-rays, and infrared light. Theosophists Annie Besant and Charles Leadbeater had published images in 1901 they called thought forms, illustrating their belief that ideas, emotions, and sounds manifest as visual auras. Kandinsky and many others read this work and also saw in music an important parallel, an art form considered on its own terms and freed from the burden of representing things in the world. Kandinsky liked Wagner and Schoenberg. Paul Klee loved Bach. František Kupka also drew a strong connection between music and painting, believing that without the distraction of subject matter, art could act directly on the soul. But Robert Delaunay was, quote, horrified by music and noise and said, I never speak of mathematics and never bother with spirit. He was more concerned with the immediacy and pictorial realities of color and contrast. And his first disc was considered the purest abstraction at the time. His wife, Sonia Delaunay, illustrated an influential book of poetry, combining abstraction and typography, a style she extended into painting and later into fashion. Piet Mondrian found his own way to abstraction, translating his favorite subjects like trees and architecture into gridded arrangements. Spatial illusion is replaced by what Mondrian termed truth. For him, everything could be processed into horizontal and vertical lines, revealing the structure of the world through binary oppositions. So abstraction was never monolithic.
In the traumatic years of World War I, artists like Paul Klee can be seen as consciously turning away from the material world. Serving in the German army, Klee wrote in 1915, "The more horrifying this world becomes, the more art becomes abstract." After the war, Klee and a number of abstract artists taught at the Bauhaus school, founded in 1919 in Weimar, Germany. It was organized around the principle that the crafts were on equal footing with art, and they sought to elevate the quality of life through architecture and objects as well as art. This focus on function as well as form was also adopted by Theo van Doesburg and members of the Dutch De Stijl group. Theirs was, quote, a new plastic art, a simplified geometric style that could serve as a universal aesthetic language for everyday life. Abstraction also found its way forward through explorations of chance, with Dada artists like Hans Arp collaging squares he dropped arbitrarily onto paper. It wasn't all just painting and drawing either. Abstract sculpture took hold, for instance, in Russia, with the work of Vladimir Tatlin and his professed truth to materials before the war, and Alexander Rodchenko after it. Rodchenko exhibited 3 monochromatic paintings in 1921, after which he wrote, "It's all over. There is to be no more representation." He then denounced painting and fine art altogether, and with the productivists aimed to integrate art into life, focusing on the design of posters and ads. But of course, the enterprise of abstract painting would continue to go on, and all with different motivations. There was Elizitsky, Marsden Hartley, Juan Miró, Alexander Calder, Arshile Gorky, and many others in many parts of the world. During World War II, many European artists fled to the US and worked there, including Joseph and Annie Albers, Fernand Léger, Mondrian, Jacques Lipschitz, Hans Hofmann, André Masson, and Max Ernst, bringing new approaches to abstraction with them. That influx of avant-garde thinking is considered to be an important precondition for the success of the abstract expressionists in New York in the 1940s and 50s. Many of those guys looked to ancient myths and archaic cultures in search for timeless subject matter, and were influenced by Jungian psychology as well as jazz. This largely improvisational approach imparted a kind of directness and immediacy meant to provoke strong emotional responses through large-scale and either dynamic gesture or expansive fields of color. The Gutai group in Japan also embraced the canvas as an arena for action, Kazuo Shiraga even painting with his feet. There was post-painterly abstraction with Helen Frankenthaler and Morris Lewis, and hard-edge abstract painting, which can be used to describe the work of Ellsworth Kelly, Kenneth Nolan, Felrath Hines, Agnes Martin, and Ad Reinhardt. There was op art, and of course minimalism, which seemed to boil art down to its most basic materials. And then post-minimalism, which emphasized unconventional materials in the physical process of making. There was neo-expressionism in the 1980s, conceptual abstraction in the 90s. We're skipping over scads of important and interesting work here. But as we hurtle toward the present, it becomes clear that abstraction has been deployed by a wide range of artists toward innumerable ends. Abstraction is no longer an iconoclastic choice, but it has nonetheless proved itself to be a productive field for those who commit themselves to it. The most compelling abstract work being made today often builds upon the traditions of the medium, recycling and reinterpreting prior approaches toward the creation of something new. Abstraction can be used to think about technology, its forms and functions, and also the denial of technology through an emphasis on tactility and physical presence. It also continues to ask us, what is the right and wrong way to make art? In what ways can we still intrigue the eye and mind? There's a fair bit of grumbling today about how the current inflated art market unfairly privileges abstract painting, but there's something important at play in that fact. Much can be contained in abstraction. It's not just one thing. It can be a mirror or a window, and it can shift depending on who is looking at it and where and when. It is done well and it is done poorly, but the flexibility that makes it open to interpretation also makes it market friendly and international. When it's good, it rewards longer stints of looking. It changes as you change, but that expansiveness can also be frustrating, too wide. But if we zoom out, we can see that many of the core ways we have of interacting with the world are abstract. Religion, markets, currency, and humans have always liked abstractions. We see abstract patterns way early on in cave carvings, and as marks on pottery and textiles. Geometric marks and forms have been with us all along, often dismissed as decoration or relegated to the world of craft. This whole narrative is a farce if we consider how long abstraction has been with us, that it was not invented so much as discovered or accepted. When looked at a different way, what's strange may be the period when humans did not embrace abstraction.
Do you like that?
What a journey.
I know. I know.
She's fast.
Yeah, she's really fast. She's got to get a lot in there. Okay, we're not going to watch this one on abstract art. It's also a really good one, but we need to expedite things here. All right. So unlike the last 3 times I've taught this course, I'm trying to integrate a few more examples of the time period and how people's thoughts were, contributing to the cultures around the world. Their designs directly affected by world events and other artists that they were learning about creating at the same time as them in their own countries as well as abroad. So early 1900s, about 1908 or so, you had Boccioni. I've always loved this sculpture here, which is this is part of you mentioned or they mentioned Italian futurist sculptures and paintings here. I don't know who this man is. I didn't have enough time to look it up, but you can see that how they're designing their paintings, both with some identifiable marks and others just seeming to be random, but hard-edged, almost like precision machinery is going on here. This could be a locomotive. In fact, it probably is a locomotive that's been abstracted. Okay, so you've got this organic shape still happening here with some hard edges and trying to bring motion to the form. And this is also has things that you're trying to find movement within a static two-dimensional surface by fading out what's in the distance here as well. By fading these out in their hard edge line and toning them down, these become more of the focal point. Okay, Franz Marc didn't survive World War I, unfortunately. I think he was killed in 1916. But you can see where he was going with his work as well. Beautiful abstractions. The more I study it, the more I love it. It just really has a great sense of space and design and color sensibilities here. All right. 1912, current events, you had the Titanic going down. All right. And that also, sinking the unsinkable really kind of plays on people's minds. All right. I've always been fascinated with this event. And I'm sorry that there was a loss of art on that way as well as human beings. All right, so now we're going to World War II or World War I. This I find just fascinating. They mentioned it in the that video you just watched. But as a background, okay, let's just move right on into artists influencing the day, okay, through their designs. So John Singer Sargent, let's see if I've got this. I'm going to send this link to you here so you can get a more appreciation for what the artists did during that time. This is a list of all the artists that I've heard of here, like Paul Klee. He camouflaged aircraft during the war. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to give you an idea of the influence of these guys here. I'm going to try to shrink this down here. You can still see my, okay. This shows the genius and how artists as visionaries have influenced life as we know it. Okay, up to the 19th century, through the Civil War, I mean, this is how things were. When you approached your enemy, you marched right into the face. This is Napoleonic tactics, basically, were used all the way up prior to World War I. And then John Singer Sargent created this painting. It was called The Hermit. And so you look and you see this man right here. Can you see my cursor? Everybody see my cursor here?
Yes.
All right. So this American officer had viewed this painting and then didn't even see it. And he looked over here and he says, oh my goodness, look at the deer. So he contacted John Singer Sargent and asked him if he would, they commissioned him basically to start designing camouflage for the American military to be used in their overseas conflict in World War I. So let's see. All right, these are the artists here that I mentioned, Franz Marc, that we heard about. All these artists, Paul Klee, they all went over and they all served. Franz Marc, again, as I mentioned, did not survive. This is what Franz Marc did when he was there. He camouflaged the artillery with his work. This is the kind of work he was doing. Well, when they found out he was serving in the military, they gave him a job to come and camouflage their artillery. And he was really excited about being able to contribute in that way. Of course, he was, fighting for the Germans, and it didn't last long, and nor did his life. Then the art of camouflage started to happen. John Singer Sargent's contribution, for instance, was, you can see here, starts to take hold. And the problem with, there were a lot of ships being sunk, and it was due to not just the camouflage blending in with the water, but the periscopes. They were able to sight the ships and get accurate distancing and sink them through torpedoes, the usage of torpedoes. So they just started to abstract patterns on the sides of the ships, which would throw off the depth of the visual accuracy of the distances. And so they were, what am I trying to say here? The camouflage, the camouflage patterns were serving to save lives. But I mentioned that in a previous class too. This is the quote by Gertrude Stein when she and Picasso were standing on the Boulevard Raspail, that they saw these trucks moving through Paris, and he was really excited because he was claiming that they were the ones that started, that Cubism was what started the whole abstract movement. Okay, Paul Klee. This is the work that he was doing after the war. Okay, remember you mentioned vertical and horizontal shapes here. This is what he did during the war. This is the kind of patterning that he did for German aircraft. Here's an example of Paul Klee's work here, and on the airplane here. It's all disguised to, or offered, to throw off depth and have them blend in with the landscape. Okay. All right, here's an example of some artwork done at the time, camouflaging the ships. Okay, here's an example of a ship that had been done. I don't know if this is what ship this was, but you can see the patterning on the side of the ship, and you can see Picasso's painting here, this Harlequin in 1905. So whatever concept this was, no doubt was derived from something that from this painting or something similar to it. American artist Albert Wog. Okay, you had two roads going on right now. You had the abstract expressionists, and you had the traditional representational painters like Alfred Wog, who was in his own time creating beautiful seascapes such as this. But during the war, to help the war effort, he went and painted models to help for the like I said, the war effort. And here's some examples here of some of the colorization. Somebody said they look like Easter eggs. Okay, this is more stories. And there are websites that I'll include in links, because there's huge in-depth studies that are done regarding this type of abstract patterning on the ships. Here's a painting up here on the upper left, showing how it kind of throws things off. Some advertising of camouflage here. This is also from the time period in the about 1917, 1918. And then here's Keith Haring on the left here, blending into his environment. So it continues, camouflage art. A little more camouflage. This continued again during the World War II effort, where they would create camouflage in the form of cityscapes on the roofs of the industrial parks and aviation manufacturing businesses. Okay, and I think this is more of a contemporary approach to it, but whoever created this design on the side of this ship here obviously was influenced by Leger. Okay, and then my girlfriend came home with a pair of socks like this the other day, and I thought, oh, isn't that interesting? Okay, all right. Let me get rid of this here and show. All right, let me get rid of this there and here. Okay, all right, so during that time, I'm just going to pass Norfelt. So there's an American Impressionist painter, traditional representational painter. He painted this painting in, this is the type of work he was doing. The American Impressionists had been influenced by the French Impressionists. They were trying to stick to the custom of traditional representational painting, using complementary colors in certain ways juxtaposed to create more beauty and vibration. Okay, so this is right around the Industrial Revolution. You can still see there's, there's no cars yet, okay? But during World War I, when the Americans were getting involved in it, he went down and he was sketching some ships down in the harbor, and he got arrested. I guess it was against the law for him to do that. And so I found this article talking about how he got arrested, and it made the newspaper. So anyway, artists have always been curious. For more reference, I'm not going to go into this here, but there's I'll send these links to you afterwards. It's pretty damn fascinating how this new idea was really taken hold and influencing life as we know it. Okay, I wanted to show you this picture here. All right, same time period. This is Maxfield Parrish showing a traditional representational painting. So there was a lot of contrast in the world. But you can see this is it's almost photorealistic for the time, but also the more beautiful aesthetic color, almost ideally. It almost looks like he's painting over a black and white photograph. But you can see temperature variations, warms and cools. And if you were to draw an armature, you could probably see how he designed this image in a aesthetic fashion here. Okay. All right. Again, back to what was going on at the time. You had Pablo Picasso. This is a Pablo Picasso, probably the 1870s, 1880s, traditional representational painting. And because of his interest in the abstraction, which you noted, she said that artists were being freed through abstraction to create more avant-garde expressions. He moved out and away from the landscapes. Anyways, so Picasso went from painting this to, before he died, he painted this. Okay, so you can see 1971 is one of his last paintings that he did. But he started here and ended here. And I would say that this painting here is probably worth a lot more money than this one here. But who knows? Okay. How about Kandinsky? Look at these early paintings of Kandinsky's. Just traditional representational painting, but more from a, not necessarily a Fauvist, but more of an expressionist point of view, like what Derain might do, or Matisse. Look at this. This is a Kandinsky. Look at the beautiful paint application here. The textures. Very decisive brush strokes. Dylan, it almost looks like, you know, because of the texturing of everything, it almost looks like,
really similar. Yeah.
yeah, it looks like,
I wouldn't be surprised. But
yeah.
my guess is some of these filters, the artists might have been inspired by works that they've saw and programmed that. I wonder.
It could be. They just like scanned them and then created the program, the code.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So anyway, so you can see why he probably enjoyed moving away from this type of painting, because it was very labor intensive to paint like this, thick paint application or impasto. All right, so he went from that to this. Okay. So what do you think of them apples? Hold on a sec. The thing about this, what I'm doing here, I gotta shrink it down. There we go. All right. Yeah. Again, from this to this. This is fourth dimensional painting here. Okay. It's just letting things come out using his imagination. Okay. And also to this. So you just got to do what motivates you and moves you. But again, I think it's important that as artists, you need to have an idea of where you want to go. You have an idea of where you want to start. And then you're listening and painting throughout where it is you're going to go.
Looks like a close-up of a Chuck Close portrait.
Oh, yeah, like it's pixelated.
Yep. Exactly.
Thomas, I hope it's okay. Thomas, I wanted to call attention. I put in the chat function because so much of art history is around the male paradigm, and there's a link to that I found about women in abstract impressionism.
Awesome.
That we're interested to round.
All right, I'll include that in my email to everybody too. All right, time period. Here we go. Cars of the day. Okay, this is Mr. Magoo's vehicle. All right, Mr. Magoo. All right, 1908 car of the year. Okay, look at this. Just a few years later, look at that design, huh? Isn't that beauty?
Yeah.
This Art Deco. Things start to move away. You know, the Italian Futurism really started to take hold, and everything started to move away from the ornate Art Nouveau pattern designs and be influenced in everything. Okay, I put this link up here, and I'll include that also in that email to you. That's where this comes from. It's amazing. The vehicles are amazing and beautiful photographs to see what the Art Deco of the day was here. Here's an example of a poster design. And you get to see, again, everything's stylized. There's beautiful stylization going on here. And I say here, Art Deco influence on planes, trains, maritime, architecture, fashion, jewelry, automobiles, paintings, graphics and interior design, furniture, and tchotchkes. Tchotchkes are important. How about this for a tub? Yeah, you know, that thing's scary. I wonder how long before that was scrapped. Anyway, big shapes. Look at the design work here. This is after World War I, of course, right? And everybody's moving into modernization and simplifying, having bigger dynamic shapes. Okay, aviation art. Aviation art, I mean aviation aerodynamics, big simplified shapes, just really, really cool representations of design. I could look at that all day.
Airstream.
Very Airstream. All right, look at the Art Deco designs here in graphics, stylization, modernism, plus a decadence, you know, things were decadent. So I just came, Larry Vigon, who's going to be, hopefully he'll be our guest next week, he had this book here, tomorrow, Delimpica. Okay, this is an example of, again, look at the Airstream, look at the stylization, look at the big simplified shapes. Okay, A lot of sensuality, and then, you know, to draw and to paint, the use of the French curves. Kim Weber is internationally known for creating this chair here. All right, this is Art Deco. He was one of the instructors at the Santa Barbara School of the Arts in the mid-1920s. This is also examples of his furniture here and here. He also designed the Christian Science reading room here in Santa Barbara. And also the Santa Barbara, I don't know enough about it, but the Santa Barbara architectural at UCSB School of Architecture, I think he designed that. Okay, all right, graphic patterns of the day. Okay, they're still kind of angular, and it's kind of a combination of, they're not so ornate like Art Nouveau, but again, they're stylizations, big simplified shapes.
The Alhambra.
The Alhambra? What?
Oh, this looks Islamic, some of this.
Well, you'll see, yes, there is some of that influence, absolutely. Because again, in the mid-19th century, with French colonization of North Africa, you had that influence, that Moorish influence. Also in Spain, the Moorish influence there, the big simplified, instead of being parabolic, things were more round. So we'll get into that next week, okay? Here, you're stylizing things to be a little more ornate and angular. Just beautiful designs, though. Take a look at the architecture of the day. Okay, look at the beautiful quality here. This building is fantastic to look at down in downtown LA. Looks great at night as well. Too bad the area is not so cool. I've always loved this as an iconic architecture of the 1920s. Okay, the Chrysler Building in New York City. Again, you know, look at these shapes. Look at how they're presented. Okay. George Stanley was one of the instructors, or one of the students at the Santa Barbara School of the Arts. And after he graduated in the 1930s, he went down and they commissioned him to create this at the Hollywood Bowl. And while he was at the Santa Barbara School of the Arts in their bronze casting area, he created what we know now as the Oscar. And so you can see the Art Deco influence here, the stylization of the figure. Okay, same time period, Frank Lloyd Wright. I don't know how many of you have ever been down to Barnsdall Park in Los Angeles. And unfortunately, it's probably closed due to COVID. But if you get a chance, go take a look at this this showpiece of his work. Same time period, kind of introducing a bit of an integration of the arts and crafts time period as well as the Art Deco. Okay, style is a beautiful stylization of things here. Last thing here, these are just frame designs. Frame designs, patterns, things you can put in corners as far as stencils, pattern work. They're just fun. But when they would design these things, they had grids. They had, you know, this grid paper that they could use. So they create, just like I did with my wedding invitation, same type of patterns I worked with to create that design. All right, same time period. All right. There seems to be moving from Expressionism to, in Europe, the Bauhaus movement there. You can kind of see a bit of Art Deco going on here, the way these are. But you can also see how kind of like stark and squared and minimalist in approach the design started to be there. So Klee, Kandinsky, and Herbert Bayer. Herbert Bayer was the head of the graphics and department there of the Bauhaus there. This is Herbert Bayer here. He created this lettering here. So you can see it's sans serif, right? There's nothing ornate about it. It's pretty blocky graphic, but he created the whole alphabet there, the Bayer alphabet. And if you don't know who he is, he's the one who designed the chromatic gate here in Santa Barbara. This is one of his chromatic, designs. Now, from what I understand, he did not design it to go here in Santa Barbara, okay? It was supposed to be out in the desert. So, you know, it wound up in Santa Barbara, and we're happy to have it. He lived here the last years of his life up on Middle Road in Santa Barbara. And if you ever get a chance, you want to see something else he did, on Hill Road behind the Biltmore, next time you guys go along Hill Road between Butterfly Lane and I think it's Olive Mill on Hill Road, you'll pass the Biltmore, and then just you're at the top of the hill on Hill Road, you're going to see a long brick wall. You get out of your car and go and look over the wall, and you'll see a beautiful fountain that was created by Herbert Bayer. Okay, Pete Mondrian, also another teacher at the Bauhaus School. One of his paintings, Abstract Expressionism. You know, these are artworks. Really, they don't look very functional, but they sure do look fun. Okay, all right, 1930s, influence of abstract art into Western United States. We were so lucky to have, when the gallery at the Faulkner Gallery, where the library is, the Blue Four had their introduction into America. The first time they ever showed in America was in the Faulkner Gallery.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, and this is the catalog for that event. And these are 4 paintings that showed. That's a Kandinsky there. This is a, what is it, a Finnegar? No, this is a Jawlensky here. Jawlensky was there. I have their whole catalog. See, Finnegar, Kandinsky, Jawlensky. Oh, I'm sorry. I think it's supposed to be Klee. Who is this here? I can't see, 1924. Anyway, we were really lucky to have them here. Oh, there we go. There's the Klee. This one was at the Faulkner Gallery, 1924. Or did I say 30?
30.
30, I'm sorry. I'm getting tired. Okay. All right. Now we get into the hustle and bustle, because while you had the influence of abstract art permeating this world where we live, especially in Santa Barbara and Southern California, you had a lot of conservative artists here, and you also had some social unrest. Of course, it was the 1930s, and Siqueiros came to town. All right, for those of you who haven't heard of him, it's important to see and know who he is, because he created quite a stir with his work. And I'll just show you a couple of images right here. Okay, you could see how he started to abstract things and still designed figurative work, but the content of his work had a lot of rebelliousness to it. All right, the content was, you know, the Mexican-American struggle. These kind of got out of order here. This is the Depression era here. You can see how he kind of denoted the struggle. I'm really sorry that this happened. When I switched from a PDF into another format, these got out of alignment. So anyway, so you can see some of the subject matter had to do with protest. So we call it protest art. Now I want you to see these lines here. This is a preliminary sketch for this. Take a look at the design work here. You can see how he's drawing armatures for these murals here. So you can look at the subject matter and be influenced by that, the nice tonal, earthy harmony and muted tones of the subject matter. But I'm interested in sharing with you that he used armatures. Okay, content-wise, influenced by Goya to create some of his work here. All right, now in Los Angeles, and you can now go see this, there's a mural above Olvera Street. And so he was commissioned at the time in 1932 to create this mural. And, you know, everybody knew that he was doing work like this, a lot of protest stuff, but just had this dark edge to him. This was the preliminary drawing for the wall where his mural was to go above Olvera Street. And of course, you can see the armatures that he's working with here. Here's how the mural looks today. In 1932, he painted it, and at the last second, he came and he put this figure here in. And it showed basically a Mexican, I don't know, a peasant being crucified. And so it really stirred the pot and caused a lot of controversy. They arrested him and they deported him. You can see it right here. They deported him out of this country. And then in 1960, they started, I think it was 60, they started to whitewashed it. They painted over it. And yeah, here you go. The whitewash covering failed. So anyway, it's now uncovered and you can go see it. It's, I think also he hired as a crew, he was teaching mural painting at Parsons as well, or Otis. Okay, so that's Cisqueros. All right, there's that image of the mural, the armatures, the Baroque, the sinister. Okay, be interesting to diagnose which formatting he used, but you can see the diagonals going on here. And okay, same time period, Diego Rivera, another rebellious guy, whose wife, you probably know more of her work than his now, Frida Kahlo. But this is an example of his protest art of the day. It's like, where are these guys learning this? Where are they learning this? Why are they doing this? What are they doing? Because most of their work was abstract expressionism and some abstractions to, cityscapes and things. But this was some pretty heavy stuff, and it had to do with what was going on in Mexico at the time. All right, I'll get back to him in a second. Same time period, 1932, Bonnie and Clyde. Look at the beautiful design on this car, this 32 Ford, painted Cordoba gray. Yeah, nice car. All right, so I kept asking myself, where did they learn their trade from? And it was from this man here, Alfredo Martinez Ramos. Okay, he was given a one-man show at the Faulkner Gallery in 1940. And he would take newspapers of the day, all right, and do charcoal and acrylic renderings. This is a self-portrait that he did on the paper. Now, papers of the day, when they first come out, they're black and white, right? But over time, you know what happens to newspapers, right? They turn yellow and they mellow. So look at the beautiful patina and harmony that his work developed here. It's another example of him and his protest art. Okay, protest art, LA Times. They had a one-man show of his also. Yeah, there's 1933. So long story short, Ramos Martinez was the teacher of Cisqueros and Rivera. He was their teacher. That's where they learned their, their protest art. Now, does this look familiar to anybody? This type of work?
Seurat.
Good question. Good comment. Well, he's the artist who was commissioned to do the mural inside the Santa Barbara Museum Cemetery If you go to Santa Barbara Cemetery and you go in their mausoleum, you look up on the walls, all these flowers, everything you see was painted by him. It's a way to calm him down. And this is from his one-man show at the Faulkner Gallery in 1940. You could have bought one of his works for $250, $300, $125. This is in the paper here. So it was all around that same time that he was doing the mural in the mausoleum that he was given this show. But look at the modernization, look at the stylization, look at the verticality of the structure. These are nuns walking, right? So everything is stylized and modernized. Okay. All right, moving forward. Okay, same time period. M.C. Escher. Some of you guys know him. You all know him for his abstract designs and his metamorphosis work. Notice what paper he's working on, the grid paper. Look at these beautiful designs that he's able to create.
It's like a fractal.
Exactly.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. More of M.C. Escher's preliminary work. It just helps him to doodle and to create other starts, okay, for just more and more and more ideas, okay? All right, y'all remember the French curve, right? Remember I mentioned it last week. French curve's still around, okay? We're gonna watch this really quick. It's a real short video, give you an idea how to use it.
Hi everyone, welcome to Draftscapes. I'm Chris Tuccio. This video is all about French curves. I'm gonna show you what they are and how to use them after this. Different French curves that I keep in my drafting supply kit for the use of landscape design drafting. Now, French curves actually are primarily developed in fashion design industry. They were used for drafters in doing sort of garment design for fashion in sort of the older days. But now we use them for a variety of different purposes in architecture and landscape design. And then there are also some derivative type of materials or tools that we can use that do similar things. But French curves are primarily used in sets to draw curved lines or radii for the purposes of paths or patios or different types of hardscape or softscape ground elements. And so what we're going to do is basically we're going to just grab a set. We're going to throw it up in the air, and we're going to see how they're used for that purpose. Okay, so I have my French curve set here. This is just a set of 3. You can get sets of 8 to 12. You know, they really run the gamut. They have all different shapes and sizes. I have a 12.5, a 6.5, and a 5.5 inch right here. Just a small set from Alden. I'll link in the description below what I'm using. The difference between French curves and some of the other things that we use is they're not a mathematical tool. So with the adjustable triangle, with the scales, when I went through the purposes of using them, really there was one way in which you use them. It was a metric in which you needed to read in order to use it correctly. With French curves, they're pattern-making tools. They're templates. So, you know, your creativity is involved. And so you can use them a number of different ways, however you feel comfortable, in order to get the result that you like. So, you know, if you like the way the curve looks one way and you find that the French curve works in that way, you keep doing it. And that's perfectly acceptable. Some students actually don't really like French curves at all. And so they move to these flexible rulers. I'll show a picture. I don't have one with me today. Flexible rulers, they're basically rubberized material that you sort of move in order to get the shape that you like, and then you simply just draft over them. I found them to be useful in certain circumstances, but not all the time. Again, if you like those, you can pick them up. I'll link again in the description where you can pick one of those up. So for French curves, it's very simple in how to use them. Basically, you'll have a design where you need to create some sort of curved area or curved path. It can be a lawn, or it can be an area of a paving, or just a pathway that you want to be more organic or curved. And so, you know, let's say I'm creating a tree here. I'm just using a regular old pencil with some 2B graphite on it, just so it shows up on the screen. I'm not using any sort of drafting pencil right now. So let's say I have a pathway, and I want it to start at this tree here, like so, and then I want it to end somewhere over here. Like so. Obviously, I want to sketch out how I want my curve to be. So, you know, lightly, I would sketch, okay, I want my curve to look something like that. And I would freehand it, okay? You can also create points along the line, but freehanding roughly is going to give you a light line how you want it. And then I would simply take my French curve templates and see what matches that curve. And then I would simply draft over that. So I have that one that matches kind of nicely. And again, I'm going kind of light. And it looks like actually for the curve that I did, this 5.5 inches is useful enough. And this one kind of has that curve that I like there. And then I could simply connect them either freehand or with another curve like that. And so I've created an edge or a curve from my French curve templates that now is the edge of the path that I have. And so I can come back over and I can ink on top of it. Now, one thing that I didn't talk about, French curves can come in beveled edges or non-beveled edges. Now, if you don't know the difference, I would link you back to my triangle video, adjustable triangle. I'll link it in the description below so you can see it, where I talk about why you would want to use beveled or non-beveled edges. Mainly the key difference is beveled edges you can use ink on, non-beveled you would not use ink on. Since this is non-beveled, I'm just going to go darker with my pencil so you can see it a little better. But when you want to finalize the actual design, you're simply going to ink on top of it to get a nice dark edge where you want your pathway edge. So here I have exactly where I want that pathway to be, the nice curve that I've drawn. And I'm simply going on top of it like so to create that pathway edge. And then if I wanted to, depending on, this is a fake design, it's not a real design, so I'm not doing anything. Depending on how wide that path is, I would set my other edge, okay? If it's 5 feet, 4 feet, 3 feet, and then I would come back with my my French curve again, and I would draw with the same angle that other edge. And I'm just going to lightly do it just so you can see. And again, that would be based on the actual design of the width of the walkway. So pretty simple way in which you can use French curves, but they're very versatile in drawing these kind of curved areas. And again, takes a little bit of practice to get the hang of it. And again, don't stress out if you really don't like using them, if you don't understand it, you know, there's other options outside of it, but I really think with a little practice, you'll get the hang of it and really like using them. Okay?
All right. So there's a reason why I brought that up, is because your homework's going to be containing some of that. Oops, hold on. All right, I just saw something. Okay, your homework. If it's open, I'm not sure the cemetery is open anymore. I don't know what's going on.
Is that the one on Hope, or is that the one on Montecito?
It's the one in Montecito. Across from the Andrea Clark Bird Refuge. I think it's open again. But I'd like you to go and visit the mausoleum and look at the Ramos murals. They're astounding. God, I just can't spell today. I think I was rushing. Let me save that there. Save. Okay. That's one thing. All right. And you're going to be experimenting with doodling using grid paper and a French curve and or templates. All right. This is a painting. This is a painting done by Larry Vigon, who's going to be our guest next week. Okay. Using the French curves. And so, I mean, the guy's amazing. He's just amazing. You can see all the ellipses. He also used ellipses to create these as well. So he used a combination of templates, circular templates, ellipses templates, and French curves. So that's what you would call a figurative piece. Don't be intimidated.
Where do you buy the French curve? Like,
you can buy them at the art store at Art Essentials. I have like 2 or 3 myself. I haven't used them in forever, but it's really good to know, especially when you start to see the graphic designs that he has done.
Thomas, I was in Art Essentials this week and we couldn't find one.
Oh, what a shame. Well, maybe we can get them on Amazon.
This is Wendy. I got him at Michael's.
Michael's? Excellent. Excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number 2, second thing, design the first letter of your name or full name, initials, or logo. Okay. So this is examples. All right. I told you I'm actually curating Larry's book. All right. So I got a chance to go through the beginnings of his artwork. And these are examples of his graphic design that he did for clients. So this is obviously, it's an E and an A, okay, for Alan Edwards. Then he showed me this on the right here, this P. So it was for another company that hired him to do a logo for them and for their letterhead. So look at these variations on a letter. Got those, and then Larry came up with these 2. P-I. All right. Okay, that's another homework assignment. Okay, another one. Using French curves and templates to create doodles like you see here. Very similar to what we did in the beginning of this class, a page of doodles. All right, you can see they didn't really use French curves. This is all done freehand. These are all freehand, I think. But, maybe not. Maybe not. But I want you to pay attention to these doodles. These are important. Okay, they're patterns. They're patterns. They're ways of looking at your work that might make them more interesting and fun. You can steal from these as well. Okay, you can do that. Or this is an example of Larry's doodles. When he sits down and watches TV, he's got, projects he's working on, so he just doodles. So you get to see kind of how his mind works. He's doing a book on Peter Green right now, so it's titled Man of the World. So he's got these ideas that he's just playing with. And you can see how his mind works with squiggles and things that just pop up. No pun intended. This beautiful design here. This is a kind of a COVID image here.
Oh, yeah.
Here's his 3 cups of grated carrots. These are just sitting on his table, so I just took a picture of them, right? But look at this. I mean, it's just beautiful, beautiful renderings, doodling with intention. Any one of these can become something else. So he's doodling with intention here. Here's some more imagery back behind here.
Cream cheese and powdered sugar?
I wonder what he was making. 8 ounces of cream cheese, 1 1/4 cups of powdered sugar, 1/3 cup of heavy whipping, And
making a cheesecake.
Yeah, cheesecake.
All right. Nice. I'll have to ask him about that. Okay, now I want you to look him up, okay? Because I said next week, LarryVigon.com. So he's one of the probably the most well-known graphic designer nationally right now and in the past. And let's see. Yeah, look him up. He did all of Fleetwood Mac's album covers and other things. He did Carl Jung's Red Book, designed it and art directed it as well. So anyway, so you'll get an introduction to him next week. Okay.
Is he going to come visit us?
Yeah, I'm going to have him come in on Zoom, and I'll show a PowerPoint, and he could talk about his logo designs, and you guys can interact with him as well. Okay. Now I'm going to shrink this down and hide it. And let's see if there's anything else I wanted to show you before we go here. We did Ramos Martinez. We did Cisqueros, Ramos Martinez, and oh, yes. Okay. For a little more of an introduction, a little more in-depth work of Larry's. Let's see. This is just what I was able to take pictures of last week in his studio. And again, this is his design for somebody, you know, but he said he went into his shower. I guess the company he was working with had to do with some form of water or something. I don't know what it was, but he was like trying to figure out how he's going to make the image look right and what do water droplets look like. So in the shower, he was noticing the water running down the inside of the shower. So he just observed them, and that's where he got the idea to create these effects here. Here's an example of his work again. This is upside down. Wait, the one on the left here, very Art Nouveau design. Okay, this is an example of, you know, some of his work here using French curves, etc. Some album covers, preliminary album cover designs. Little color rep just to show the client of possibilities of how to create these letters and have, you know, this work. This is a 50th anniversary of something that was being celebrated. Again, as I'm going through these, I'm just snapping photos really quick. Here's an example. He did like 5 or 6 of these using French curves, and it evolved from this into this, giving some relief with light. Okay. Here's an example. He did a movie poster for the James Bond film Casino Royale. Or this, I've never heard of these people, but again,
oh
look,
yeah.
You've heard of them?
Oh yeah. I saw them live at the Pasadena Civic way back.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy. Anyway, the guy's a genius. This is going to be really fun. This is an example of his work, you know, just to, fill a page somewhere. I forget what they call it. Just, you know, just scrap art, whatever. And then here you go. Here's some lettering. How do you represent spies? So he wrote it out with, you know, put a couple eyeballs in it. So he's thinking outside the box. So I'll show you examples of thinking outside the box next week. So we're not so literal, and we can use our imagination and create things that are interesting and unusual. Okay, so there's that and that. And I think the last thing I'll show you is this here. Okay. Yeah, you should see this. Slideshow, play from start. Okay. All right, so this is what I told you about. This is some of it, 1909. See, they all started off in the same place. Okay. Look at the beautiful charcoal work. The guy could draw. Okay, you saw the one on the right. This became his style, you know, drawing on newspapers.
How do they ever preserve that? Newspaper's so flimsy.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's not, they just do. It's just flat art, you know. It's probably put it in between plastic pages. Again, when they had his exhibition at the Santa Barbara Museum of Art, probably 10 years ago, they were showing all this work. This is beautiful.
I wonder if he got that idea from the Indians, the Native American drawing on the I guess it was their census of Indians taken at the reservations. Have you seen that?
That's a really good idea. I have no idea.
It also looks like you think of the influence of Gauguin.
Oh yeah.
And the Polynesian painting and that
Totally.
influence of that.
Totally. Now look at the choice on stylization, hard edge, modernism, futurism, all those things that are going on in the art world at the time. Wendy, was that you that had mentioned that about the census?
Yes.
Would you do me a favor and look that up and see if you can find examples of that?
Oh, yeah.
Because it'd be interesting to see imagery like that.
Oh, you see a lot of that in Montana.
Okay. So here he is in front of one of his murals there. It's interesting that at the time period he had a Hitler mustache. That was, my grandfather had a Hitler mustache in the 20s as well. It was quite popular. But then Hitler came to power and no longer is that popular.
Exactly.
So these are some murals down, I think it's in La Jolla that he did. Of course, it's not really protest art, but it's more, you know, women carrying baskets of flowers. Beautiful. And these are still in existence down there. You can see them. But again, modernization. Look at the beautiful tones, the linear quality, the graphic shape. I'd really like to see these someday. Okay, and then of course here we are back in Santa Barbara. A little closer look. If they're closed, then you won't be able to see them, so I guess I can show these to you. Thank you. Cassie's dog, thank you. No, this is really interesting because he was so influential on Diego Rivera and Siqueiro in their protest art. And he was the man. I mean, he did protest art too, but this certainly kind of got him away from that. This is his swan song here. Getting him to, you know, create for that mausoleum. There's a detail. I took these of the flower arrangements along the side of the wall. There's that again. That again, and I think that's it. All right, so we made it through. If there is, Cassie, I know you sent me some artwork, and let's see, is there anybody else that sent artwork that I didn't catch? I'd be happy.
You asked, this is Alice, you asked me to send the doodle.
Let's send the doodle.
I also did the Hasai homework and a landscape.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I downloaded it, so stand by.
I did the persimmons and the automatic drawing stuff too, Julia.
Okay, Julia, hold on. Let's see if I can bring this up here. And then Elizabeth Hatch. You sent me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Stand by. Oh, you just sent me something about abstraction. Thank you. All right. Let me just start because it just came through. Oh, and Jovian, I see you sent me something. Kurt, Doodle. All right, I'm going to start. I'm going to download this here. All right, let me go. I'm going to switch screens here. I'm going to bring it up. All right, and we're just going to go through it. I'm going to go to screen sharing, new share, and go back to my iPad. And I'm going to bring it up. And we'll do one at a time. We'll go back and forth. I'll try to find everybody's work on there. Okay, so can you all see my desktop and the iPad? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't download this, but what I could do, hold on a second. Let me go up here and annotate. I can annotate. So I'm going to spotlight it first. Okay. Get rid of this. So many steps involved here. All right, so Kurt, this is you.
Yes,
So this is the doodle that you did over the armature. I see you integrated the armature with it as well. Very interesting. You might want to now slightly remove that armature just a wee bit, just for fun. Let's see if I can go in closer with it. Yeah, I can. Okay. All right. I'm going to go through this slowly. You have a title for this dream.
Yes, I was working off the armature to get the angle, a lot of the angles.
Okay. Yeah, I see where it's coming in down below here, and then the one up top here, it kind of goes in the middle. But that's all right. I mean, it's fun. It's just, this whole thing is just to give you an idea of possibilities of how to make more and better designs. More and better. That's great English.
Yeah, the way you have it oriented is actually the way I drew it, but it works pretty well turned 90 degrees counterclockwise.
Okay. I don't think it will allow me to do it unless I download it. And
well, that's okay.
Okay. I mean, I can't turn it upside down. It's going to be that way forever right now. Okay. Anyways, it's nice and abstract. I think you could probably go into. There's a lot of negative space. It'd be interesting to see you go into an area like so, and maybe start to grade 8 somewhere, grade 8 out or grade 8 in. Just to have something else happen if you want. You don't have to. I'm squinting my eyes, and this seems like a pretty blank space. So maybe you do want to either develop something here or accentuate this or this whole thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's really a finished piece yet.
Yeah, yet. Yeah, so just there's no hurry. Just play with it for a little bit and see what happens. And then look for opportunities to, let's see if I can do this again, where you have something like this come through, let's see some transparency. Let's see some transparency. Let's see some things happen that indicate that, a change of pace, space and opacity. Understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Are you familiar with Paige Wilson's work? She had a show at the Architectural Foundation within the past year, and very much along these lines.
Mm-hmm.
How do you spell the first name?
Paige, Paige.
Okay, I'll check it out. Thank you.
She's an adult ed instructor also. So
good. Thank you for bringing her up. Thank you.
Yep.
All righty then. Let's see. That was the doodle assignment. Okay, we're moving up now. Jovian? Jovian? Hello? Aw, too bad. I wanted to talk to her about her squiggle. How fun is that?
It's fun.
Yeah, let's see what this, I think they're both the same. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, she made something out of nothing. That's cute. All right, well, she's not here, so we're going to keep moving. Cassie, are you here?
Yeah, I'm
All
here.
right, all right, Cassie. Okay.
Yeah.
I like the organic sticker.
Well, I painted this morning and I didn't have time to paint that, so I stuck it on.
It's a collage now, you know.
It's a collage, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you were to title this, enter it into a show or whatever, you would it would say medium, you'd say collage,
Yeah.
right? I have no problem with it being right on there.
Yeah, well.
I'd leave it. But I would maybe consider, instead of having it right kind of in the middle of the shape like this and here, I would maybe, move it up a little bit.
Yeah, wrap it around so you just see a piece of it.
Yeah, you could even, yes.
I'll paint it on, but yeah, I did that like right before class.
Okay.
I stuck it on.
Okay,
So.
all I want you to do is, when you do something like this, pay attention to the negative space on either side of it, all right? Because this is basically on the central axis, dividing the sphere in two. So, just you'll find a little more fun if you offset it, creating a variations in shape, etc. Okay, and then you have this shadow here.
Yeah, I really didn't know how to paint the shadows, the color, but there are shadows.
Now, you weren't here in the beginning of this class, right?
No.
Okay, you missed it today. So you can check it out when I send you the link. You can watch a replay of it.
Oh, good.
I talked about making the shadows more transparent. So, you'd actually be able to see a little bit of the pattern of what's in the shadow. Like this pattern that's behind here. And then maybe making this a little bit lighter because it's going farther away, and more reflected light is going to be in there.
Also, I was kind of stumped about the very back, all the background. It was like a window, and it's very busy.
Well, talk to Kurt. He knows about that. Right, Kurt? He had the same issues with the background, with things in the back.
I'm not sure that's my strength.
Backgrounds? Yeah, you're more of an in front of the camera kind of guy.
Well, kind of.
Yeah. Okay, so Cassie, I'll just say this, because I don't, this isn't downloaded right now. I can't show you, but if I were you, I would look at maybe darkening down in the background up here where my light is, darkening that down, darkening this down, so this becomes more important. Okay, you tone down and minimalize other things in order to draw attention somewhere else. All right, and then on a sphere, you have more form shadows, and you want to be careful of hard edges because within the form they can be problematic, drawing attention to this shape right here. So you want to soften things like that if you can. When you soften that, other things will become more important. Same with this line here. Maybe you want to just kind of soften it a little bit, just a touch, integrate back and forth here. So, it's just drawing. Get a highlight on this persimmon back here too.
Yeah, that definitely needs it.
Okay. All right. Well, you took instructions well. Thank you very much. This is good. All right. Wait, that was the only one, or was there two? Oh, look at that.
I just sent you the photo that I worked from.
Yeah, it's on there right now. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the fruit got really rotten, so I just had kind of worked off the photo.
All right. Okay, so here's the thing. Whoever's here, we've got, who do we have here? How many do we have here? We have 18 people are still in the class. We had 23 today. All right. The direction you're facing has much to do with your destination. Okay, Kurt? So if you set up a still life like this, and you've got all this light in the background, backlighting things, that's going to be a distraction. You've got to find a way to close that off. Either put your still life on a table adjacent a wall, okay, so you don't have this extra backlighting in your eyes. Okay, and then you have your one light source that's going to help you, you know, see the light on the form. Okay, so that's why you got distracted. You didn't know what to do because this is all complex patterning back here. You've got to find a way to, you know, to shut that off.
I also wanted to add a tip that I had learned about thinking of the sort of the container first, the background, and letting the form and the shape be informed by that, if that makes sense.
Elaborate, please.
Like, you know, for instance, when you're doing a life drawing or something, the figure is within the container. So think about the container of this still life is a part of the design.
Yeah.
Well,
So the fruit lives within the home. The fruit lives on the table, but try to design it in such a way that what the background is sort of like the frame for it, or the container.
Environment. Yeah.
I mentioned Paige Wilson a few minutes ago, and she did a workshop through the Architectural Foundation.
Right.
And she had not still lifes exactly, but they were ribbons and color patterns and stuff, and they were all contained within a box.
Yeah.
And it just was beautiful, and the work that came out of that was really interesting. And it was playing with veils of transparency and opacity and how colors changed.
Yeah. Tell you what I'll do. Before the next class, I'll go to my studio, and I actually have a still life table. You don't need one, but if you want to configure one, it's what they have in art schools. If you go to the Scottsdale School of Art, for instance, you'll sit in a room with, you know, 30 of these tables, and on each table is a still life, but it has little wings on it, has a back, has a place for lighting on top, and you can put drapery over it. You know, it's the traditional way of kind of presenting things, and it has wheels, so it can roll around. So I'll take a picture of it and I'll show you on the next class. So anyway, I like this presentation here. I like the diagonals here. I like the arabesque. Okay, I like the lead lines coming in here like this. I think I see where you're going with that, and I see that label on that orange too. Or is it an orange or a persimmon?
It's a persimmon, but I thought the persimmon was too small, so that's why I made it larger in the painting. It was too like the other guys.
Got it. Too like the other guys, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I like the way, you know, the leaves kind of go up in the back. I think your bowl kind of gets flat. It kind of looks like I'm not seeing the dimension to it. It's just flat graphic, and then it goes.
It's actually a piece of pottery my husband made, and it is curved over the top like that. So it probably looks like it's a mistake in the painting, but it actually is that shape.
Okay, I'm looking at it right now. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, it's a little tough. You also had leaves up on the top here.
Yeah, they were too busy. I took them off. Yeah, too busy, I thought.
Okay, but the background behind them could have been simplified. You could have used this color and just gone to town, just simplified it. It doesn't look too bad. I mean, you could bring the light up on this, and you could have had folds and drapery a little bit, and then maybe shut this off a little bit, shut that off a little bit. I think you could have still gotten away with some of these tones that were where those leaves are. I think you could use that. I don't know. It's just an idea. They're all ideas.
Well, first effort. So
yes,
it was fun.
Good. All right. Thank you for sending those in.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see who we've got here. Present moment. Here comes Dylan. Here she comes. Did I get these already, Dylan?
The one of
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, those I sent the landscape painting.
All right, I'm looking, and then Julia, I'm going to get to you if you're still here.
Yeah. Okay.
Look at that.
And there should be an Alice doodle.
An Alice doodle. Hold on. Oh yeah, now I'm seeing things before my eyes. Where's Alice Doodle? And one of the issues is some of you send them to my SBCC email, and some send them to my personal email. And so I if I don't get it, it could be possible that it's on the other.
The landscape one I sent to both.
Okay, all right. Look at that. Holy cow. That's a beautiful design. Whose is this? Wendy.
That sample of the ledger art.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Look
it's
at that.
ledger art. And I included some links.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Wow. How fun. Look at that beautiful color.
Beautiful stuff.
I'm going to steal this. This is really great.
That's cool.
Look at that.
Gorgeous.
That's ledger art and not, it says cash.
Yeah, it's ledger. I couldn't remember exactly the word.
Hey, well, I'll tell you what. I mean, I do 23andMe or I do Ancestry.com, and some of those Ancestry censuses, the handwriting, superb. Look at that calligraphy.
Yeah.
Did you do that calligraphy yourself?
No, these are old.
Oh.
Right?
No, that's
1880. 1880. Look at that.
Yeah, this is, I think it's a fairly modern painting on old ledger paper.
Oh.
Because that's what they had access to.
Wow.
Really nice. Very nice. Thank you for sending that. I'm gonna download that. Okay.
I would like to take credit for it, but
yeah. All right, Dylan, here you come. There you go. There's the Hokusai pen and ink. Right?
Yes, I chose a different one. The other one I felt I was just too sacred for me to step in. I don't know how to describe it.
Wow.
That's my landscape assignment finished
I like
up.
this one though. I like this one of the kids.
Yeah, one is it's an ancestor painting from my father died and I didn't get to say goodbye. So he's on the left, taken from a photo taken from him when he was a little boy.
Ah.
And he's on a little golden honu, and the sea goddess is taking him, and then the sacred mountain of Mauna Kea is referenced in the background with the tree of life.
Wow. When did you paint this?
I started it this summer, and I wanted to wait because I felt I needed more information. And then after I learned about the glazing, I went in and then finished it yesterday for my assignment.
Okay. All right. Wow.
Felt like I needed more information, and the glazing really helped me finish.
Yeah. Wow. Well, there's definitely some symbolism here. Love the butterfly.
Yeah. That's the butterfly is the Hawaiian story is we were adopted into the Royal Hawaiian line, and that's the Royal Hawaiian. And then he's got marks on him of Christ that is sort of like my prayer of for the resurrection for the Hawaiian culture, because there was so much genocide that went on, and so that sort of my father and the ancestor felt a lot of wounds from that.
When you say he had marks on him,
you see that I put little marks like by his belly and ribs
martyr. Yep.
Yeah, martyr. Yeah. That he was a part of the genocide, of the Hawaiian genocide.
Oh.
And it's sort of like a prayer for it to be fully revitalized and for aloha to spread around the world.
Well, art is a powerful thing. So this painting may never go anywhere, but it's not important. What's important is what you went through and what you're going through.
Yeah. Well, it's going to my brother's wall.
Nice. All right. That's great. Let's see what, oh, wait. Let me see if I can. So that was that one, right? Was there another one, or was that?
That was it. Those were the two ancestors.
Okay. Okay. Now I've got to look for Alice. There's Kurt. Come on, Alice. Where are you, kid? Alice, when did you send it through?
I just saw you pass her
I sent
name.
it twice to you. It was in the email that you downloaded 2 other things from, and then I sent it again this morning when you couldn't find it.
All right. All right. So I'm going on right now, and just tell me your email address really quick.
AMEYER@Thatcher, THACHER.org.
Thatcher. There it is.
It's a silly little thing. It's not important.
Oh, that's great.
I love it.
That's not silly. This is fantastic. Merry Christmas.
So you looked at the first thing you looked at this morning was my doodle.
Okay.
And so this is what happened with the doodle.
This is fantastic. This is fun. Nicely done. I'm going to get this out of the way here.
So I was trying to stay with the doodle for all the rest of the doodle. So
yeah.
Like if you look at the hair coming down, I tried to make as many things
More
be
arabesques.
a circle
Yeah.
with a thing.
I get it. There's continuity.
Super fun.
I love these, you know, they look like Christmas lights, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ornaments. It's fun. Wow.
Yeah, it's so silly.
This is like a well-organized fractal with a sort of hidden in which the shape is repeated at different scales.
Within one format. I like how it goes back and forth. Your ellipses are kind of, they're not really elliptical. They're kind of flat. And I like how you rendered the cheeks, the nose. Look at the nose coming around. Yeah, there's definitely patterning going on here. So fun. So fun. You gonna do something with this for Christmas?
No, it
No?
was just watching TV doodle. It was sort of fun. It was interesting to watch my mind move because
Yeah.
I went into it thinking I was going to do something with fish.
Yeah.
And then I did the doodle and I couldn't make it into fish. So I just let it make itself.
Okay.
You could make a Christmas card out of it.
That's what I was thinking. That's why I said, are you doing anything for Christmas? Yeah. All right, Alice. Thank you for exploring with that. All right,
you.
last one is Julia. Julia.
Yes.
All right, and your email is Julia. What?
JB at Julia Bryson.
JB. Yeah, there it is. All right.
Are you the static ones or the persimmons?
Let's see what comes up.
All right.
No, I remember you sending these for some reason. Let me just see if I do this. Let's see. Bring up my my email here. JB. Okay, JB. And did you send it as homework? I remember those persimmons. I remember them. I do. Okay.
Yeah, I think I said Monday homework on them. I sent them like last week. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I sent it to your pipeline.
Oh, to pipeline. Okay, that helps. So I'll go over here.
I usually try to send it there. Do you prefer I send it to your personal?
Yeah, it'd be easier for me.
Okay.
Well, I know they're here. I do know they're here. Maybe. All right, let's see what comes up here. Homework third. There we go. Yeah, you gave me a couple versions of these things, right? Third, Monday, arabesque, Monday homework. Here they are. There they are. Okay, can you see my desktop?
I cannot.
Okay, let me do a new resume share. Oh, wait, where'd it go? Stand by. I just had it. There it is. Now can you see it?
Yes. Yeah, no, I can't. Huh.
I don't know why. Sharing is paused. Let's see, resume share. So every time I resume a share, hold on.
I saw it came up for a second.
There we go. There we go. How's that?
There it is.
Okay. All right. You got a lot of persimmons in your life.
I got so many. It was
So they're good. That's good. Okay. I'm going to give you the praise slap praise approach because you're good enough to work on this.
And that was one of the ones that I sent you a couple, Thomas, because I wasn't sure how to crop them. So this is one of the cropped ones, just FYI.
Did you do a preliminary sketch first?
I did.
Okay. And you weren't able to work out your issues on the preliminary sketch?
In terms of cropping?
Yeah.
Oh, did you? Oh, there you go. Okay, there you go. That's the full one. And I just tried different types of cropping.
Okay.
With afterwards, because
Okay.
Frame it. Anyways, I try to go bigger and then crop.
Right. Okay. Follow my cursor here. I'm going to annotate this. Stand by. Okay. So right now everything's kind of centralized. You've got this center axis here. It goes left and right, up, down, left, right, up, down, left, right. Okay. It's kind of like a director's baton. Okay. Let's see. It starts 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So that's kind of what's going on here. What I see happening is that it gets a little monotonous because you have them kind of all side by side over here, and this one's separate here. Here you did overlap. So I'm glad for that and this. So because they're not touching the sides, there's a little bit of an issue. So you were right on the next one to crop, at least get this starts to work. I would have maybe cropped the other one.
Okay.
I would have even maybe cut one of these off here.
That's what I did 2 different croppings where I was trying to figure that out myself too.
Yeah. The trouble is you don't want to get to this point of a drawing or painting and then say, yeah, it's not working, I should crop it. No, you need to spend more time in the design stages in getting things placed. You know, did you do an armature first?
No, I didn't do an armature on this.
It would help for placement. And then what of all the different designs, like the circular composition or the triangular composition, or we're going to do more compositions next week through Edgar Payne. So you're going to see what steel yard is, and you're going to get all.
Would you do? So I was trying to do the arabesque assignment, but would you still do a circular design when you're? I mean, I saw 2 arabesques.
You could.
And I was trying to. I mean, I was thinking of the Ellsworth Kelly, honestly,
right.
And I was trying to. And then what I was trying to play with was, like, I knew you said composition should be bottom heavy. And I was trying to understand whether that had to be the positive object or whether the pattern going into it could be, make it bottom heavy. And so I was also thinking about a triangular design when I did the patterning on the foreground. So I was trying to lead the eye in with the yellows.
Right. Okay. This whole thing probably would have worked had you dropped this one down a little bit here.
Yeah.
Dropped it down.
Yeah. Okay.
Remember the coincidences?
Yeah.
Coincidences, okay?
Yeah.
You want everything to line up somewhere with something. Like, where is this going to line up with what? Where is that going to line up? You know, everything is going to line up with something.
Yeah.
So that's why I say if you drop this down a little bit, at least if you dropped it down to here,
yeah,
you might have stood a better chance in that you would have created this motion here, and then I don't know. It also the fact that they're all the same size, twisting them, putting them on their sides. Like these 2 look like they're, well, this one I can't tell if it's on its side or if it's raised up. I can't tell.
It's raised up. It's raised up. The points of them were pointing all different directions. So
Really?
I thought it'd be interesting, but
well, it looks like they're like, here's the top, here's the top, here's the top, here's the top. You've got these dark marks on all of them.
Yeah, it's too monotonous, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. So you would want them aiming in different directions, right? So
yeah, they're not enough. They are, but not enough.
Right.
Now,
and then the last thing is a light source. You have an indication of light source here and here, little bit here, somewhat here.
Yeah.
Tiny bit there, and then this one kind of falls asleep. It's like maybe it has a light source over here. I'm not seeing.
Right.
And then the cast shadows. I'm not seeing cast shadows for the light source. You have a light source indicated here, but the cast shadow is just underneath. It's not casting any in an opposite direction. This one has light source hitting on the plane here, but there's no cast shadow. There's only something underneath.
Yeah.
So, you've got to pay attention to what the directionality of the cast shadow being consistent with the opposite direction of the light source. So
yeah.
So that's it.
It's
just a number of things that could be
overhead light, which I learned. This one sort of I learned. I just had it just presented a lot of questions for me, but.
Yeah. Okay, so you got other elements. That's good. I'm not done yet. Hold on. If you were to crop this here, okay, just have half. I think that might satisfy the criteria.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think one of the photos I did that.
Yeah, you did. But then you cropped the bottom too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't need to crop the bottom because now you've got. It's kind of, I don't know. Now you have this huge empty space in here. So maybe a way of going about it, look at the cloud patterns you have up here. You can go back in, you can, create a little more blue sky in between the clouds, and that might make it more of a surreal, expressive piece. And
I think I would just start over. You know?
Yeah, you could as well.
But that is really helpful. I mean, I knew it was sort of failed, and I couldn't. I was having a hard time figuring out. Yeah. I love marks. I love the markings on the persimmons.
Okay.
And that was part of what I was doing.
All right.
I was so inspired by that Ellsworth Kelly, the simplicity of it. I was trying to see if I could do something simple.
Yeah, well, his were so simple that they were just contours.
Yeah.
They were minimalist. Okay, Ellsworth Kelly was a minimalist, obviously. So he deconstructed his art down to nothing more than contour lines. And if you look at his artwork in general, they're just nothing but color bars, on the wall. So he's gonna come into the lecture next week. But I don't want to give it away on what influence he had in design, in the design world. Last thing I'll say is maybe because I'm seeing this more as a horizontal, because you have this blue sky back here. I mean, I'm interpreting it differently. Whereas if it were a harmonious color to the color of the persimmons, which the grass is or the table is or whatever that is, in other words, if this were also more of a tone that was in the orange hue or golden brown hue, you wouldn't have the blue contrast. And I think that is also what's kind of throwing us here.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So,
like you do that, the yellow, that Naples yellow colorish in the foreground, or is that too?
I would do. Look, so you see where my cursor is right now?
Yeah.
I would go in this direction, or this Naples yellow here, combination of two of them, just so it's all unified. It's more of a monochromatic painting, or not a Brunei, but it's all about the harmony. The blue is not in harmony with what's going on here.
I know. Why do yeah. Why? And it seems like tonalism is always the answer for me.
Hey, I have no problem with that. I really like it. I know what to expect from you too. So that's fine. That's fine. But you just don't want your tonalism to look muddy. You just don't want your tonalism to look muddy.
Everything got too muddy. I would like to do it again, I think.
Okay. You have my permission. You do it.
That was really helpful though. Thank you.
All right. Good. All right. Is there anybody else? Anybody else that I didn't get to today? Jovian, are you here?
Can I make a request?
Wait, hold on just a second, Alice. Is Jovian here? Okay. All right. Go ahead, Alice.
When you send the homework
yes.
Email, could you put your preferred email for us to send things back so that we're not running all over the place?
I appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. All righty. So I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all learned something today. And you got your spot? Yeah.
I had done the automatic ones, but we don't. It's late, and we don't have to look at that one together. But